Ale Jehovah onware kama. Ndiali good onware kama. Ndiali araba onware kama baba onware kama. Ndiali uhimi onware kama. Ndiali shada onware kama. Ndiali akin onware kama baba onware kama. Ndi Jehovah rekama, ndi ali goda rekama, ndi ali himi rekama, onwa rekama, baba onwa rekama, ndi godonsi onwa rekama, ndi Jehovah onwa rekama, ndi jali himi onwa rekama, nsi onwa rekama, baba onwa rekama.
Hello, my brothers, my sisters. Greeting to you and all your good families. The title of my presentation today is Oduduwa. Oduduwa. Its meaning, origin, and who really is he or who really are they. I repeat, the title of my presentation is Oduduwa. Its meaning, its origin, and who really is he or who really are they. However, before I open up the non-hidden but ignored facts of what the term Oduduwa really represents in the lips of our fathers in our far-gone history, that all those so-called elders of our land are now playing the ostrich and playing to the gallery on, permit my asking and my opinion. What is Oduduwa and who was Oduduwa, you will ask? Well, you better listen and know. There's this from that name, there's this and run far from that name Oduduwa. Not to talk of a nation want to choose the name Oduduwa. Yoruba, well, I'll still tell you the meaning of Yoruba. Many people don't know it. Hausa, they don't know the name. Kanuri, Ikanu, all those people don't know it. But it's our language, our tongue. The Ika people. The Igbanke people, that is our tongue, that is our language. When you mention Greece or Europe or Asia, all those are our language. Because we are the Ika people, we are the NZERA people, the Phoenicians, the Palestinians, they all met together. The Bible, don't you see Palestinians and the Israelis, they were talking, Goliath and this one, when they were fighting their war, whatever war they call it, they were talking to each other. They understand their language. It's not interpreter, no. The Bible made the Bible beclouded the history of Africans, the history of West Africa, and the history of the black race. When you mention Europe, America, all of them were Ika because Ika ruled the whole world. I'm not saying they might technically rule, but they created an empire that was far and wide. From the Egyptian language, from the Akkadian, from Ishoma Soma and Akkadian. That was where Ika started. We'll get there, that's another testing. But let's dwell now on Oduduwa. Because Oduduwa is a language that came from there. When you hear people say Lamurudu, like this and this. The name Oduduwa connotes evil. It connotes violence. Though the kings and princes may now be proud that their proclaimed and adopted ancestor is a strong and great man, I say, my brothers and sisters, run away, run far from that name. For that is the definition, the definition of greatness in a world that the evil one is sitting on the throne. With only evil people being rewarded and protected, make evil look good and great. Evil now has become exalted. The noble, great human beings are sidelined. They are killed, they are thrown away. But the evil ones live on throne, they exalt themselves. Because why? Because the evil God, the satanic God, Satan, is the one ruling. And his children are the kings ruling us. They do evil. Noble people, till we get the world back on foot, that is when we will say, yes, we are human beings again. That's when we that are custodian of the altar of the gods, we are supposed to be the custodian of the instruments of the gods, the temples, the altar. It is since then till then that we get it back on foot. That's when we call we cure the curses upon ourselves, upon our land, upon our destination. There are so many lectures I'll be bringing little by little, but now let us dwell on who is Oduduwa. Oduduwa. Who is he? Who are they? What does it stand? What does it mean? Not that because they said he's a great man, he's a great man. Why is he great? Ask somebody. Evil has become looked upon great and good. Run, my people, run and discard the name Oduduwa. Discard it, throw it away, spit away when you mention it. It is now that humanity has started hiding the barbaridness. That's why you don't see the barbarian of those kings. Look back their history in the days of slavery and note all the evil that all those kings committed against our people. Against those they are calling their people now, their subject. The evil of slavery, they sold us. Wake up, my people. The exaltation of that name is the epitome of evil that took over the world since the past ages. Those kings were born, bred up, and planted in those thrones through violence. That is why the only language they understand is same evil, wickedness, and bloodletting to appease that great grandmaster, the Ezata, Satan. Who is Oduduwa? Duduwa. Who is he? Do you know the history or the folklore about the name Oduduwa? Where does this from that name? The name is Zeus evil. That term is an example that evil people tend to progress. Why the noble people now perish since the past age when that Ezata became on throne. When you start listening to the demonic atrocity he and his followers, those kings generation have committed upon the people of the black race, farmers will not go to their farm again. Neither will market women trade their wares again. For the day we meet the night, as it is endless list. Look around and you will still see that they are still proudly committing their evil. All those kings, they are committing, all those Obas, all those Onis, they are committing their evil upon us as if they are not human beings like us. Things that were been banned before the forming of NZERA. One of the stooge of NZERA. That was why Kyohe, high priests were the one that ruled it. Elders of the land rule the land. Not young people that came to mess up lands. Corrupt. Now they make all politicians in Africa corrupt. All the black nations are reading with poverties. Because the headship is under a curse. Our problem is spiritual. Spiritual problem of Africa is overwhelming all the physical efforts. We must wake up. Rebuild the altar. Rebuild the temples. Rebuild it. For those kings, starting by uprooting those kings from there on behalf of the master, that's Satan himself, who is awaiting the condemnation that has been passed upon him and upon themselves. Ask the people that claim that they are his children or descendants, and they will talk to the heavens, deep down into the bowels of the air, without making meaningful explanation that hold water. This is because they don't know who he was, but the lies that they were taught and told to continually propagate. Hence the lies that he jumped down from the sky. They will tell you, those kings will tell you, oh, our father jumped down from the sky. Some will say he came from the east. Where? Some will say he was the son of a king, Lamurudu, because that one has Du in his name. Just as if they don't truly know, or that they want to forever hide the true identity. They won't hide good identity or good things. No, it is only ugly, evil, bad things that one hides. However, truth can be hidden forever. A time of reckoning is very, very near, and it is inevitable. If people of the black race must break and annoy the curses that have heaped upon us, we must do the inevitable, uproot all those kings, rebuild the altar and the temples, and now start a new generation of humanity. Well, who is Oduduwa? Who is Oduduwa? I'm going to answer this question in two ways that will give us all the true picture of the term or name Oduduwa. What does Oduduwa stand for? Now I come. Listen very carefully. What does Oduduwa stand for? The word or term Oduduwa literally means what? The directing or the leading of the world. Yes, Oduduwa, it means the directing and the leading of the world. Director, leader. That's Oduduwa. It is an Ika language phrase, Ika tribe, or Okwane. Ika tribe, Okwane, part of Igbo, boundary between Edo and Delta. Igbanke is the headquarters of NZERA land. In the olden days, that land, Phoenician or Palestinian, and when they all merged, the Gauls, so the Etruscans, so the Ugarais, so the Semites, name them when they merged. But when they started initially, when they started answering the call of God, when he had BIAFRA, KWARARAFA, ZAMFARA, GANERERA, or when they answered the call of Ra, the headquarters was chosen as Otanta or Ishiota. That's where you hear Shotanje Fida or Ishiolomo. But Otanta, that Otanta was shared at Agba. Agba is Anglo, where he Anglo-Saxon, Anglo. That Anglo, that Agba, Igbanke, that rules. Well, it became the Anglo, the headquarter of that in NZERA of Idu. But later, we'll get there. Let me continue the explanation. What does Oduduwa stand for? The word or term Oduduwa, it literally means directing or leading of the word. It is an Ika language phrase. It is a combination of the words do and wa. So when you say do, that's duru. The do is for duru, direct or lead. And the wa is for word, wa. We call it wa in the local, but anglicized as wa ode. That's one day, ondi wa. That's a word. The word, the whole word. Because English, know it, my brother and sister. English is part of a car. It's called the Ebo shrine language. Those they kept in shrine, all those were Ebo language, Ebonics like Ebo, call Ebo language. Ebonics is what they call English in dictionary. Check it. Before they start saying English. English again is the name, is our name. Ingi La Ishi. Brittany, Latini, all those ones are our name, but I will get there separate. They are all the language spread of Izere, Phoenicians and others, they spread over the whole world. But our specific is now the meaning of Oduduwa. The do is a short for Duru, Duru-idu. What is Duru-idu? Duru originated Duru-idumu, or do is a name the English called droid or droid. Droid is the name of Duru, where you say Duru. And also know that those are our ancestors. Our ancestors were droids. They were also they were also called Eka or the camp people or the Maji. That's Meji the Ajahi, the Muajaika people. They are droids. Nduru. I don't know how to really explain, but droids. Go it. You hear droids like Ogboni society. They were droids. Droids were the people that leased the domains, regions in the olden days because there was no king after Soma and Akkadian. Our people banished kingship. They were only ruled by elders of the land, who are called droids, magicians, Kyohens, leaders. They were all free people, servers. When you hear elves and dwarfs in the old European lands and all those old England, Scotland, Ireland, Russia, all those droids that were people were all black and white, mixed up. There was no separation of race then. We were all living. The people that can be like anywhere black were ruler. Although with time, the population started transposing from black to white. That's another reason and another folklore of Asa. How humanity entered Asa and they become polluted with whiteness, lost their dignity, and it started continuing. Anyway, that's a long one. We'll get there. But those droids, those our ancestor droids, they were the ones that united all over the world and migrated down to the altar of creation to restore that altar. So it's a long thing when they Egypt was one of the places they stayed before they moved to create they moved to the altar of the other, the Alemo, the land of the living and the dead, boundary between the equator, which is the land of the living, and the land of the dead. That is where the altar is. We'll get there. So the Duru you hear of, Duru-idu, Duru-idumu, Duru is made from, is a word for droid in English. If you check droids now, you understand what I mean by Duru. So when they and also know that those are our ancestors, that's why now they worship Hika. To see the origin of Hika, called us Eka people. Ekan, both Ekan or Eka, they are Meji, more Ajaika. That is the more how to praise. Their praise of Eka is magic. When you hear magic people, Meji people, you understand? We all hear it in even in the Bible say the Meji people visited Jesus. The wise men, they were like wise men that ruled the society. They were the droids. They were our ancestors. They were names they called them. They were the FA people, like deaf people. They were the oracle people. We'll get there. So they later came together to form this NZERA. They principally worship the Ora, Heka, Oreka. Ora is God. Then Heka is kind of God, the measure of a God. Ora is a general name for the whole gods. That is the Heka God. Some people will tell you that Duru means black. No, not really. That is a referential or an effectual meaning. Its connotation in reference to Dudu, being seen as Birilakene, because the Birilakene, the people that rules then were the origin of the Birilakene, that's black, were black people, and they were droids. They feel that they more have the destiny of God, so they are temple leaders. White people are like taking our defects, they donate them. People don't just as deaf, dumb. I'll get there. Now folklore. So Dudu connotation as black does not mean it's is originally black. Dudu means duru, the DROIDS. And local form of it is Ogboni or Edion, all those are our society here. It was a droidic, they are droidic society. This is so black is a referential meaning. So its connection in reference to Dudu being seen as black was that being seen as black people were usually the high priest that was in charge of directing or leading the shrines, the instruments of the god, that was used to set up and guide and protect communities that was blacks, that was always leading those our Asian clans or small domains community. Before the new people is what we call white, that is those of the white race started coming out of the caste system as defeated human beings sacrificed to the gods. That caste system secluded them from participating in leadership positions. Anyway, that's another history. I'll get there. I'll get to the issue of the whites. As a human being, the name Oduduwa was the name of our people. The name our people of old, of this land of the god, ascribed or they gave or called those their violent, bad, evil jihadist children of the Oduduwa religious movement. You see, when you say Oduduwa, those that lead word. So Oduduwa. See, Oduduwa, the leaders of the world. But people say Duwuwa, they lead and turn the world. Duwuwa, they Duwuwa, they tear it, they scatter it, they split it. But they themselves call them Oduduwa, the leaders of the world, the Duduwa, the leader of the world, the leading of the world. But our people call it another name, the Duwa, the tearer of the world. So as a human being, Oduduwa was the leader of those evil jihadist children of NZERA, of Ota, that led the Oduduwa religious movement. There was a religion that was trying to be, after the break of Egypt, and those Islamic BADINs, the BADINs that were close relation of the BADINs, that's from people that form Ibadan land now. IBADAN, the BADIN people, the Muslim IBADANs or the Islamic IBADANs, they left, they were chased away or they left or they were sent on assignment. And we'll get there. So a movement called BIAFRA movement or Oduduwa movement that overthrew the set-down socio-religious leadership system that fairly existed for millennia in a nation of the gods that was roughly called NZERA, Ika, and Tu, of which existed in the position now presently occupied by Nigeria, West Africa. The founders and leaders of that Oduduwa religious movement were called Ndi Oduduwa. Other synonymous names that they still call them, which the people hardly use again now. Other names that are synonymous to this Oduduwa are Ndi Sokpota, that's Sokpota, that's spoilt or split. English they call it spoilt or split, but we call it Sokpota. Ndi Sokpota. We call it Ndi Sokpeka, spoke, like he spoke, as you spoke, or they vanished it. That's where you hear something like Osokpeka, that follow to push away Osokpa Eka society, Osokpa. Don't you hear Osokpeka? Sokpeka society. That's also they follow to Kwanfo to pursue Eka rulership. In this Sakota, Saka, that's Kata. Where Sakota, Seka, the tier. In the Dujeka, their names are many. In the Dujeka, in the Tiweka, Tiwuwa, that tier. In the Tiwa, in the Dufidu, that divide. All those are named our brothers that now left us to the English side. They now change it to Ebonics, that is English. Those are our own name. In our we call it Sokpota, that's spoilt. English, the Chinese spoilt, split. We call it Sokpeka, they call it spoke, that's vanish. We call it Sakauta, Ndi Sakauta, Sekota, they call it Skata. Ndi Dujaika, Ndi Tiwa, Uwa, that they call it Tie. Ndi Dufidu, they call it divide. That's so many. So the term or name Oduduwa was not a name initially assigned to one man. Rather, it was a name that was used to describe those that invited and team up with the Arabian jihadists that eventually overthrew the government of the God's nation. The God's nation, which are various scholars, Ali NZERA, Ali Du, Ali Mon, Ali Ka, Bontu, of whose exporter existed loosely to that age in the land called Ota or Igbanke Teto, Igbanke Tretre, or Ishiota, Ishita. Even some call it Agbane, Agbane, Agba, I, and miss many other related names they call that headquarter of that NZERA. When you hear Ishita, Ishiota, that's center, city, star. The origin of when you say city is star, center, headquarter. but now existing only, this Ota Igbanke existing only as a semi-independent or autonomous part of an erstwhile Benin Empire situated between the boundaries of Edo and Delta states of Nigeria, West Africa. That was the headquarters of NZERA. So the name Oduduwa and their Otuefa religious movement and their rebellion was the last straw that struck the medieval classical land of the gods called Alen Mmo, Alen Zeralidu. With the notable headquarters, I said, Igbanke, Ishita, Ishota, Ali Agban, Ali Ago, Ago Ale, Ango, Ango Ale, Ango, because Africa was called Ango, Ango Ale, Agban Ale, Egba, that's Ango, Agbe Teto, Ake Ale, that's Agbe Teto, that rules land, that rule the whole Oteja. Why the capital of Oteja is Shota. You understand? Ota et Oteja is Shota. And all happened with a retuning of more curses. All those overthrow happened with a retuning of more curses added upon the nation of Alinzere. A nation that was supposed to be annulling the millennia-old curses upon curses that have been heaped upon its spirituality. Those 12 people were the ones that the evil one eventually tried to use to cancel and annihilate Alinzere people as a nation. This same man who called Oduduwa, the leader of Otuefa, he and his followers were cursed, and the land became more cursed and went into hibernation. Hibernation to date. That chains of curses must unanimously be broken by our people of the black race. Again, let me remember ancient Ogbo Oni society, that's mates of Oni, mates of Oni, Ogbo Oni, cycle of the Onis, society of the Yoruba states, and the Idion courts, Idion court, of the Benin Empire, are an example of our DROIDS association. They are a continuation of the droidic societies that our ancestors earlier practiced in the wider world. That they used to lead those domains while they lived in lands of Soma, that's Ishioma, we call it Ishioma, Akkadian, Akkadian, the Mzopota, that's in Mesopotamia, we call it Mesopotamia, we call it Mozopota, Norse, Noishi, Norse, Germanic, Gemini, Latin, Latini, Brittany, you know, they are all people that live far from the Ishi center, from the Humbudo, Arabian, Arab, you know, lands migrating back when the North migrated back to the continent now called Africa. So Ogboni was the one that helped at that final stage when those crises happened. Well, according to my grandma, my auntie, and my elders of my community, which are respected Kiohens and Kawanas, there's what they call Kiohens, that is high priests and high priestesses, prophets and all that, they are called the Kiohen. Ohen is priest, but the Kiohen is the ruler of the Ohen, that is the leader Ohen. The Kiohen and the Kawanas. Kawana, you hear Kawana when you read the stories of the Hawaii story, Polynesians, you hear Kawana. Kawana is like, it's a mother god, mother leader. We still, that is the same because they were all people that left migrants. So many people left our country, Japan, Taiwan. When you hear those things, it's like I'm giving you fairy tale. They were all part of NZERA kingdom, NZERA nation. Bible just made a mess of the history of the black race, the origin relation between the black and white. But thank God our shrines kept those folklores. Now we will try to start writing them down. We will look for researcher, professors that can research, put them together. The Bible is so erroneous. Well, I don't blame them. It was written by conquerors, the Arab conquerors. They started compiling it. They redacted the history of Africa, not Africa, now the history of NZERA land. The Phoenicians, the Palestinians, the Etruscans, the Aegeans, all those black people, even they were the Romans, they were the Greeks, they were the Arabians, they were the Asians, where here is Ashante, Ishanta, Ishan. They were all our people. I'll get there. According to my grandma and my aunt, my elders of my community, those Kiohens and Kawanas, the man that led this Otuefa or the Efa wars of old was from my maternal lineage. He was from our lineage, our clan. He was from our land called Aliota or erstwhile Ale Tamozun. There's a name called Italy, just like Italy, we have it here. Ione like Iran. Ione, we have it here like Ilorin. We have Iyane, Iran. We have Iyake, Iraq, Iyake, Ake, that's Ake. All of those places, Italy. Now, Ita-Ali, that's the word, another name for this, Itamozun. Itamozun is a sister community of Aliota. Ota is part of this Igbanke, a 6 conglomerated headquarters called Igbanke land. That was the settlement of quarter reserved for rulers and leadership of this NZERA. So before this Oduduwa and his Otuefa people started their leadership crisis and torso and religion, it was believed that his father was part of our lineage. Of Ndi Idumo Deze, we call it Agbo Deze, Agbo Oda Eze, that anoints the kings. We own the shrine they call Ezoroku, Ezuku, Ezoroku. That's our shrine. You have it now, like Igbos have that Ezoroku too. Then in Oga, somewhere they still have it there. They're taking over from a place after the division of Idu, after people migrated. But the people that remained, some are through slavery and later they started recreating the shrine, was people they call Idumu Odeze. Odeze or NZERA, or they call them too. We call ourselves so many names, but that is the major one that identifies with this story now. The Odeze, the more Odeze Aleka NZERA. It was believed that the father was one of the members of that clan, that lineage of Idumo Odeze. We have the law of shrine there. I'll get there, but let me gradually not shout. Sorry if I'm shouting, but just try to be attentive. Take biros, Google those things. I'll try to create a way the spellings, you know the spelling, because spelling might be a little bit difficult. So, before this crisis, it's assumed that it's believed that his father was part of this Ali Ota, this Ota that's part of Igbanke, and his Ali Etamozu that was eventually destroyed in the wars that ensued. So many land was destroyed and eradicated, hibernated, as you say. So he was part of it. He was from Igbanke, the headquarters. That was where his father issued torso of kingship and all that, leader of NZERA nation. Before his Otuefa people started leadership crisis. They started a religious movement after he came back from this Egyptian war, this Mohammed war. Well, Otuefa started that crisis and torso religious movement. That was the last stroke that eventually led the black race into this ever burgeoning and spiraling stagnation. This uneventfulness, this suffering, this enslavement, this racial degradedness, this unending war, this unending retrogression, this poverty, whatever you have, this backwardness of the black race, this curse upon us. Otuefa was the one that made it. At the time that Egypt fell, that we were supposed to recover and install all this temple and shrine in the real correct places. Otuefa people, Satan used them. Satan used them to cause another uproar and NZERA. Since then has been hibernated. All they do is to tell stories that make sure that the story of NZERA is not told. That was where the church leader made so that nobody will know the origin of their own religion, that NZERA do no longer exist. That is all they care for. That story is instead of they don't mention NZERA, you can even hear Iduaka. Iduaka, that is Iduake, Igbanke. He do all this, and when the headquarters was there, you don't hear anything said again. It's only the story of the shrine, and it was banned. Ora, worship of Ora, which will give you reason of meaning of NZERA. No, NZERA is not a name of a person. It was not given to the son of Joseph or what. No, it is a name of Ora. That's the way the NZERA kingdom came. So the Bible from the onset made a lot of nonsense of our history, lied so much. That's why educated people know that the Bible is not the correct history of humanity. So I would have been proud and able to prove or claim right of inheritance to him much more than many of those that are now claiming to be his descendant by virtue of being from his own, by virtue that I am from his own direct lineage and clan. If not that elders of our clan and lineage of old had already rejected and disowned him, as they claim that he is an exceedingly evil man, and the cause that scuttled and hibernated our God's nation was from him. It was said that our ancestors initially helped to send him away on exile to avoid his being killed, and later on inevitably rejected and disowned him for his continuous rebellious act, which eventually hibernated this God nation of NZERA. And also that when he called for his people to leave the land space of Igbanke territory, Agbale or Egbale or Igbanke or whatever you call Igbanke, to join and migrate to his new formed abode lands of same names. He created other Ota here, Ota there, Igbanke there, others that are now in these Yoruba lands. Many of our people of clan, having foreknowledge of the divine importance of Ota and NZERA as a project of the gods, they rejected for going with him. Especially his family people, who are already the Odeze people. Clan that anoints the kings and the Qhens and all that. The Ewere, the Oyoyo people. having foreknowledge of this, of those things, they rejected following with him. But a lot of people were happy. They were forced. Hence, our people was later punished severely and were enslaved by his followers and used for human sacrifice and charms that need relations of his blood. When they, his warrior, later came back to occupy the lands of Igbanke. They occupied the lands of Igbanke and the neighborhoods, creating dukedoms. Hence, you hear Iduake, as the land where most of the tribes of people that ran away from Idu ran away. They call it, that time it was not Benin, it was Iduake. Ake, they don't Igbanke. Agbankene. So they call it Iduake. And that was where when Oduduwa has already and his Otuefa has taken over the land, they now started sharing. They came to that same headquarters to take it over. They stayed there, but the war coming up upon them from the Jukun, from the Eda, from the Hausa, from the Igbo side, from even some Yoruba. That's why they almost dead so much Yoruba. So everybody started running away again. So when they saw that, they now created dukedoms. You know, they created dukedom to protect Igbanke, the headquarters, but it didn't hold water. People ran away from Idu during the height of the Otuefa wars, and after the conquest of the land, he and his Otuefa region initially came back, as I repeated, to occupy this Igbanke Eteto lands, the headquarters of the land of NZERA nation. But aggression, continual aggression from other parts of the nation was so much that they initially created war outposts. Those war outposts that later became dukedoms. Now they are kingdoms all around our Igbanke land. These have now metamorphosized to become autonomous kingdoms around, like Asaba area. All those kinship, you see Asaba. Iseluku area, the Izele. You see Iseluku, Izele. Instead of saying Ize Ora, they say Izele. El is still our God. Iseluku area, all those Agbo area, Ishan area, Auchi area. They installed dukedom. They were war outposts to protect Igbanke. Igbanke, that I hear this shampoo, Igbanke enslaved them. People saying some Igbanke, I remember the history, say Igbanke people was the one that enslaved them. No, it was not Igbanke that enslaved them. It was the Utuefa people that took hostage of our land. Some of them remained there with us, but many of them left. That was how we, our ancestors, were able to come back. But after they installed those small kingship in our localities, so some of them left towards our second town, because second town of NZERA was Ife. That's what we call us FA people, FA servers. That's FA land that worship that Awu. There's a river or groove Awu. I've got it. There's a river they call Awu. Enyangu. That's what give the Christian name. Yahweh. Enyangu. Like and that gave that people the name Yahweh. Enyangu. That Awu river. Awu river. Around Busa, around that Ife area. That was why they have that settlement of Ife. Because that's the eye of the god or the sun god. The eye of sun god was Osunogodo. We get there. Anyway, as I was trying to say, aggression from other parts of the nation was too much. So they had to now the dukedoms and the kingdoms they formed around Igbanke. So many of them stayed there, but it was not as strong. But they were able to quell most of the crisis. So that's why you have kingdoms like around Asaba area. Araba, they call it Arabatu, Arab. But we get there. Mbiri Araba is there, the shrine that made it. That made Ibrahim, and all those our name Esau and all those names, that biblical name. We get there. So as I was saying, that was where they formed this Asaba, Iseluku area, all those towns. They installed their kingships there. All those Agbo area, which was even the one that deleted our Itamozun area. You know, that was how they install all those kingship there. Those followers of Otuefa. No history will tell you about Otuefa wars. They don't tell you about Otuefa war. Otuefa warrior, the Otuefa religious movement. It was a religion they wanted to form. When the BADIN people separated from the Islam, they came back to form that. That's those one will now say they have a BADAN, which Egma people, everybody joined them. There's the settlement they were used to conquer Ife, conquer Igbanke, conquer so many of those Biridu and all those ones. Anyway, so when they came, when they occupied the area, they occupied Igbanke, their ancient Jericho. The Iko, Igbanke was Iko Ugo, There's so many names you can call Igbanke. Iko, that's gathering of Ugo people, Ugo, Igodo, you know, so many names. They call it because it was the headquarters. It has six branches, and each of the branches was divided again into two. was divided into two towns. Each zone, each domain of NZERA land is spread out. It's a triangular plan. That's why they give you drawing of Ishiota as a triangle, C triangle. That map, you see it. The same map is still there in Igbanke. The boundaries of the communities of Igbanke is still there as triangular, leading for Ota in his own, Olige his own, Odin his own, Otor his own. Just like that, all the 6 land communities that each of them leading to different areas that make up the nation of NZERA. But it's another story. We are talking of Oduduwa. Oduduwa, what's the meaning of Oduduwa? So after they formed those kingdom or outposts, they are turned to dukedom, and now their own kingdom. Iseluku area, Saba area, Agbo area, Ishan area, Auchi area. So they did this so to cut away the aggressive moves that was coming from present-day Igbo areas, the Jukuida area, the outside area. Those people that did Robo, 2 areas, those who are trying to evade them. They made a cycle around the Igbanke, but that did not sustain. It was later now, they now shifted the headquarters from Igbanke, some shifted to Benin, and some shifted to those Ife that were more safer. So there was a time their children now came to start conquering the whole land. That was when they formed. They even changed the headship, the kingship of all those other lands again, that their former follow ancestor. So the Benin still changed all those kingship. They installed their own on top of those thrones. They removed those ones that the followers of the Oduduwa initially installed. It's a long story. We'll get there. But we all need to harmonize all those our stories from communities to community. We need to rebuild our history, NZERA history. How we led the whole world. How we even those that are saying they are superior, they were even already like slaves, how they were look as defects. We need to revisit those history to give us dignity, to bring equality between both to raise the new people. We call them Indiohun, Amohun, or Amaho, or that is, we call them Ebo people, new people. That's what they call new people. New people are the white race. Now their population is so expanding because their gene is so recessive. Anybody that touches it becomes white. Before 200, 300 years, you have already turned white. You come marrying a albino now, mulatto. It continues like that without marrying black. You become white. So all those Japanese that migrated, all those Polynesians, all those Filipinos, all those people that left the land, they are today, where are they? They've all become white. Even some of them, white hair has already started turning white. People that were Anyane, the first creation. We have story of Anyane. Anyane was the first white. That's why you see Germans called the Anyans. Arans. They are the same name. We call it Anyans. They call it Anyans. They are the first creation of the whites. We have the story. We have the folklore. Anyane one more be our you. Let me not go there. Let me continue with Oduduwa. We need to rebuild this temple, this altar of the Greek gods, this horoscope. The Zoroaster, we are not there now. I will give all those stories. How is the number of 1 to 3? How relate to English? How relate to Egypt? How relate to Egyptian? Created. How relate to Germans? How relate to the relations? The stories are the Anglo-Saxon that left from our NZERA. The Japanese, you see them answering the same Edo name, all the Benin Igbanke name. The Filipinos, all their name. The Indians, you do people, all of them. The connection, our ancestors in the shrine, the folklores they did not forget, even they were persecuted. They kept those folklores and they trained me as an ohen, as a priest, anointed. I was trained in those things. I didn't know the meaning until I grew up. And luckily for me, I'm one of the first graduates in my land at my age. When education started, how many years? The people kept us backward. People that went out alone that don't know the history. But we that grew up from you, we learn those history. Now, I've compared the history of NZERA land with those of the contemporary historians. I found that the same thing. The Phoenician history, the Carthaginian, they call it Carthaginian history, the Ingrica, the Brittany, the Latin, all of them are the same story with Agbale, with Agbanke, with all our gods, everything. Zeus, even up to Zeus is there. Esu of this kingdom. Yeah? So many Akpolo, all the gods you think in Greece, they are all here in Igbanke. All the Phoenician, Horo Swanisha, yeah? All the Ntu, Ekberentu, all the gods of the land are there in the altar land. Then the temples again, you mentioned the Uromi, the Orogodo, the Oroho, the Ewohimi, the Rua, the Ayango, the Yobe, the Yola, the Arochuku, all the temples, Urobo, the Orogun, all of them, horoscope, horo temples. They are horoscope because we were the worshippers of the star god, the sun god. That's even what the story is. When you read 1, 2, 3, it's a story. 1, 2, 3. It's a story, it's a history. Ezoro, that's Zoroaster. Ezoro, that's Zoroaster. 2, pursue. Ndi, that's 3. 4, 4, out of O. Biafra, come to Ishi. You give up to how they came to Ife, how they migrated back, the migration, who they call Exodus. Eshudo, Udu, Eshudu, do. Our land was do. Our land was Ota, Eshimota. The other way, Hebrew call it, but the English, Greek side we call it Exodus. The same Udo, the same show. So all the story, Arundi Femo, all those are there. We will get there. But well, listen, bear with me the way I talk. My fastness or trying to. If you can listen with Bible, I'll try to put all these things along in this thing so that the researchers, professors, both white professors, black professors, humanity, we study my this thing. Don't look at my face, don't look at my person. Look at what I am saying. Study it, analyze it, and let us recreate the history of the world. What is this? I will give all those folklore as I can remember, one after the other. We have a better picture of the thoughts of our ancestors and how to rebuild this. My interest is rebuilding the altar and rebuilding the temples, so that worship will continue again. Humanity will be restored to our godly position. So, and the elders of NZERA, of our clan, we are custodians of the deity and title of Oda Eze, of that ancient NZERA nation. We were our clan, I said, our lineage was the custodian of the Ezukwara. Okay, they call it Ezuku now. Ezuku was the one, they are the owner of the Odeze. They anoint kings, Odeze of the ancient Israel. They are after they selected of Okingi, that's ruler of Ngi. That's the origin of this king. We call O in name of, like now we want to call Monday, we say a Monday. We want to call a star, a sister. Well, we put that vowel before a name of true something. I don't know how it originates, but so when we want to say king, we say Okingi, Okingi. When we want to say Kyohen, we say Okyohen. When we want to say Ogiso, we say Okiso. Okiso, so it's heaven, or heavenly noon, none. That's where you have really be noon, none. Okinu, Okeale, Okeame. So those, after the selection of those rulers, we now, the people that anoint it is that shrine in Izele, that headquarter. That is our own family. Because it's assumed that our family was where the people that, the person that led them, whether it's Moses or it's Abraham, I don't know who led them. So those biblical is where we remember that one. Who led them? If it's a Moses or with the shrine, more of Uzi that led them, that person came from that lineage. So the family is the custodian. That's the only thing that hereditary among that family. Not just one family, it's a clan. All the kings are not hereditary. Kingship is not hereditary in the land of Israel. In Africa, it's not supposed to be. We started forming Senate, Theocracy, Dumu Akrieze, Indi Yakrieze, all those ones, Ishina Ato, Jeroktoshi, Jerito, Krieze, all those ones were our language. We formed it. I'll bring the link anyway, I'll get there. So, Oduduwa, a wicked evil name. People want to use to form a nation. Evil nation it will be. Desist. Let us unite and recreate this country. Let's put our forces together. Rebuild the altar, rebuild the temples, and then let us. Nigeria can be stronger. Whatever name we choose to call it, nobody can domineer if we unite. No particular tribe. We say minority. We say lead over us. Know your ancestors. Know who you are. That's what I'm bringing. All these things must be uprooted. So the suspicion was that someone of his lineage, why they point, okay, let me now start from. So we are the Odeze people. So we were severely punished all through the century that the crisis lasted. We were severely punished at and after his death, because it was believed our people was almost virtually wiped away For it was believed that their oracle already prophesied that only his own blood-related family people will be able to kill him. And that those people will still be able to reunite the nation that he has just fractionated. So the suspicion was that someone of that our lineage was among the opposite warriors that fought and injured him that led to his death. Hence our people, these followers, dealt a heavy, wicked, evil blow continually on us, on what was left of our lineage. His own Oduduwa ancestral people. His name they call Ekalehadian. Eka, don't you say Eka there too? Ekalehadian. Ekalehadian. Eka. They said Mwonyeka. Iweka. Look at all the Yoruba name, all the bad names, all of them. They are Eka name. If I'm lying, ask them how come all their land, every name of the beer, all their gods are Eka name. But Eka is a kind of Igbo language. How come their name is Eka? From all their land, when you call Olodu Odumare, it's a Igbo name, Eka name. When you call Obale, Oba is a Eka name, Oba, expander of land, Ba of Ale. Every Yoruba title, Odi name, beneath Asian name, even Hausa, all of them are Eka. How come? And it's only Eka now, Akan language that links to Egypt, that links to Greece, that links to English, that links to Latin, that links to German, Russian, the Slavs, so Slavs, Yugoslavs, all those names, even Uzbeks, Uzbeks, all of them links to their language. If you see the term, the Japanese, all of them, it links together to the Eka language, because the Ekas were Phoenician that traveled, that brought about writing. They brought our people, when they pronounce his name, they spit off of their mouth for the evil he and his followers wrought on our people, his own blood lineage, as he punished his people severely for not being in support of his atrocities and war. And we are enslaved and bred. Our people was enslaved and they were bred for children used for their human sacrifices and charms. I will get there, perhaps in another lecture. Does it mean that our fathers, your own fathers and mothers, did not tell you who you really are? Does it mean that your ancestor did not pass down to you through your folklores that tells you about a great nation of the gods that existed in this land? I repeat, does it mean that your ancestors did not pass down to you folklores that tell you about a great nation of the gods that existed in this land, in this area of West Africa, specifically in this present day Nigerian area? Did your fathers and mothers not tell you anything pertaining to the land of NZERA, Ale people? Did your fathers and mothers tell you that you are or you are not part of the NZERA people, NZERA Ale people, NZERA people? Did your fathers tell you that they are called Idu people, Idu people, Ndeka, Eka people, like Ka pronounced like Kaduna, Kanuri, Kano, Ikenan, Ekale, you know, some call it Ga. Did your ancestor mention something like that you are Idu people, that you are Ka people, you are Nton like Bantu, Nton people? Did your ancestor mention to you that you are more, the most, that you are more people? Did your ancestor mention something like, are you are NZERA people, NZERA people, or you are NZERA people, or that you are Lieze people, Lieze? Or did your ancestor mention to you are Ka people? Are you more like the most? Are you more people? Did they say our land, our ancestors were the more people? They were the Ka people, like Ekans? Or they were like the NZERA people, Alieze people, or they were Pontu, or like Ntu people, or did they mention they were Ife people? Did your ancestor belong to an Asian nation that bore any of such names? The names they call us could be endless. Well, if not, does it mean that our fathers did not tell us who the original Aborigine settlers of this landmass area of around Nigeria, around West Africa, far and wide were? Or does it mean that they were or are one of those very late settlers or migrants that was later welcomed from the European, Asia, you know, all other continents back to the continent they call the Ota. Some call it Akebulan, some call it, now let me say they call Africa. Does it mean that your father never tell you that their lands were the holy of all holy lands of the ancient gods by our first NZERA people? Do you have the name Ora? You know something Ora is Zele or Re as God in your language? If you do you know the meaning of the phrase or name NZERA or NZERA or Isele? Some use Re. Well, for your knowledge, Re is God. You can Google it up. R-O-A, Re is God. Some call it Ora, just as we call like you could say Nesu. No, Esu like Zeus. No, there are so many changes. I am coming to Oduduwa. Did your gods call your local gods call Re before the term? Because Re was used before the term God started being used. God was coined from Igodo. There's a plot they call Igodo. IGODOMIGODO. Igodo is a land. Orogodo was the temple. Orogodo, like very close to my own place. There are so many of those temples of the gods around my own locality. I'll come there. So, but I want to find out, does your father or your tongue, your language make use of Ora or Ra as God? Because Ra was the origin of NZERA. And NZERA means Idu are the DROIDS, Iduru people. And they are the Ka, Heka. Heka is a god. All of them. Do your father more like moon, moons, because at the time they used that sun god, moon god. Did your father, your ancestor tell you that you belong, they serve such God? Because first and foremost, before I dive into the issue of presentation of Oduduwa, I want to get a background, to bring your background. Where are you? Were you the late migrants to Africa from all the other wars, or you were those that were like Aborigines? Because in NZERA we are the Aborigines, one of the first. There are more people, the Heka people. You know, they were the Aborigines. Because you need to know the background of this land first. The origin of NZERA, where they call Israel now, NZERA. Why people say, Israel, they are Africans. Israel, they are there in Africa. People want to say, because people don't really understand the identity. You see people saying, no, we are Jews, we are Hebrews. Hebrew, fine, but Jews is a different thing. Judaism is a different thing, like Christianity and Islam. But you say, when you say Hebrew, fine, Hebrew people. But when you say NZERA, we are NZERA people. NZERA predominantly are polytheistic. They are not monotheistic. They worship what the people don't understand. People will say they are idols, they are this, they are that. They worship multi-gods. You have a lot of gods. From the European gods, from the Asian god, from all the gods, from the main African gods. That's what the Israeli people, which we predominantly are. Now, having the background of who we are, now let me not ask again, do your ancestors of those first ancestors, now do you know that those our first ancestral superhuman beings, now known as God, was earlier called or known as Re or Ora? Because they were superhumans. They were we call them ancestrals. That's we see people saying African worship ancestors. They were ancestrals. They were superhumans. They were the first people that dwelt on earth. They were those that they are gods that try to recreate themselves, that humanity started off from. So we call them Re, some call them Ora, some call them Nu, some call them Osiris. There were many names. But now, those Osa, or Obua, so many names. And that they alone is supposed to symbolic as one I want to get to that. Those Ora people, those gods, did your ancestors tell you that in the land of old, the Moors, that those superhuman, symbolically, they were no longer in flesh and blood, that they alone were supposed to be the gods, the king over all and all forever? That our ancient name NZERA, now anglicized as Israel, means God alone is king over all this our land, no mere human kings, not Obas, not Obis, no Onogis, not Onis, not Emirs, no whatever title humanity choose to call themselves, no humanism, not mere hereditary human kings was allowed, answering the names of the title of our God, but only the kingly God Re himself was supposed to forever be the supreme God over us all and over our land, that we were the choosing people of God. Did your ancestor tell you that only those superhuman, those Ora, those Re, was our, they call them Eze, Kieze, some call it Kaize, Eze, that Eze Ora, Eze Ora El is the land, the name of the land, because Eze Ora is the God. They say God's nation, God's people, God's land, that Eze Ora. that he do, the DROIDS were the people that formed it, that Hika was their major worship. Hika. Did your ancestor tell you such like that? Because if they tell you, you will get my drift. If they tell that no human is there, not mere hereditary human kings answering the names and title of our gods, but only those kingly God, Re himself, was supposed to forever be the supreme king over us and our land. Though we can only have assistances choosing occasionally from the eligible high priest of the land. Did your father not tell you that this land of ours was the holy of all holy land? That we are the NZERA people, the real NZERA people, the more people that are solely ruled by the king of the gods? Do you have folklores of wars that led to having all those kings installed? I want to find out people that have those stories, those folklores, those history, as I do, of how those kings was being installed upon us and upon our land by the ancient church leaders of Christianity, by those Judeans, by those Islamic Arabian people. Are you aware that this imposition of kingship upon our land and people by the progenitors of those foreign human imagined religion is the major last overwhelming cause that befell us and our land? And that all such causes, yes, that all such causes must be broken before we can start seeing, receiving or hearing from the heavens, from God again. Were you not told that the bad, evil, wicked God, through his trick and the error and sinfulness of our ancient fathers, took over the abandoned throne of the great good God, locally, which we locally call Ogbo Ora, cycle of the good gods, throne in their land? In this our land, they call Ota. Otejan is the first name they called Africa, Otejan. But the capital of Oteja, which is that portion of Oteja, is called Ishiota. Yeah, Ishita or Ishiota. Because there are two names. Itamozu is there, Ota is there. Ota now is called Igbanke. They divide Igbanke and Envarum. But the Ishita means capital of Ota. That Ishiota. That's capital of Ota. Ota is the empire, the land, the ancient land now called Africa. That West African part we call Ota. Otejan. Just like when you say the other way around, you say Ejan Poto. That is Egypt. Poto. Now we call Eta Ejan. You see? So I want to find out that background. What your folklores in different languages? Is it in Hausa? Is it in Igbo? Is it in Yoruba? Is it in Efik? Is it in Igala? Especially like Igala that's very close. Is it Kanuri? You know, all those are. Is it in Ghana, in Ka, in Fon? Although I want to find our background. Do you know about this Ora? Do we know about Ota? Like you hear a lot of people use Ota. Even in the Americas, you have Ota. In Israel, you have Jota. In so many other new nations, they call Ota. Because of our relationship to that God's nation. So that's where I want to have a background before we discuss the Oduduwa. That is the main issue. Because having the background of this Ota and the relevancy of this nation of NZERA or Ota, that is when you understand the implication of that name, Oduduwa. So were you not told that the bad, evil, wicked God, through his tricks and his error and his sinfulness, through the sinfulness of our own ancient fathers, that the evil God was able to make a trick that made us to abandon the throne of the great gods, which we call Ogbora or Seko of the good God throne, in that land of Ota, that's in that land of West Africa, that was NZERA. Hence, the origin of the bad name is Ezatan. Ezatan, which is anglicized as Satan, called Ezatan. But English now anglicized the English, which is Ebonics, our own language too, now say Ezatan. Those kings now presently in West Africa are sitting on those Okpo Ota. You hear in a place say Urokota. That's Horo, the horoscopic Ukpo throne of Ota is kept there. It's symbolic that since the gods are no longer on that throne, Ezatan is the Satan. So Satan symbolically is ruling Ota or ruling Africa. I'm not trying to give theory. Those are the beliefs of our ancestors after those kings was installed, because those things are now symbolically sitting representing Satan. So what I'm trying to tell you is that by those kings sitting on the throne, Satan is ruling Africa. And satanic powers are ruling. That's why the holy worship of the NZERA people changed to satanic demonic worship, like charms that was occasional. But now it becomes popularized in those thrones. Enslavement, poverty. You know. Those kings are sitting upon those ukbo all time. Ukbo is called throne. Ukbo. Ukbo krena, that is krena, karena, corona or crown or whatever you call them. They are all derived. Ukbo is like seat. Ukbo tan. And Ake thrones. There's what they call Ake. That's Anke. Anke, that's the rule. It's a name for rule. It's a name for life. Rule. Anke thrones. In representation of the grand medieval Asian master of wickedness called what? Satan. They are representing Satan, which I told you they anglicized as a Satan. Have you not heard of the Horokpota? Somewhere like in Benin is there. Have you not heard of the Ake palaces? Ake palace you find in Ife. Have you not heard of Bale? Those are names of typical names of the thrones of NZERA of ancient days. Those names did not make the Bible. It's only Tan or Tan as Zevota or Sabbath, all those ones that made the Bible. The Ak made it another way. Ak made it another way. Ba just made it in a negative way. But some did not make the Bible, but some made it. So perhaps I will impart what my fathers taught me of this our holy of all holy land of NZERA. They have been the stooges. Those kings have been the stooges of the Arab leaders that took over Islam. And then the Roman leaders of the church, even before the reign of the Portuguese and the Spanish, that's the Portuguese and the Spanish, that came to sustain those kingships. So the thing was started by the Arab leaders. Not Cyrus alone in the other part of Canaan. Canaan, they call it now Canaan, and they call it Israel. Only that part. While living the major capitals of Israel and the land of Israel. You understand? It's an extension of it is what they now take as Israel. The stories of it was not translated there. So those, what I'm trying to say, that they have been stooges. Those kings have been stooges of Satan and stooges of the Arab. They are the Arabs themselves. The black Arabs that came over to take over this God's nation. Those are what those kingships represent. That's where you need to have those backgrounds before I now come. So here again are the hands of Arab Islam. It needs like ISWAP and Boko Haram and co. Still causing havoc in our land. As they did in those same land millennia ago. For their own fathers. Please, we can't keep doing these things the same way that have so much cost us downgradedness, below inferior to our fellow humanity of the white race. So much harm, pain, and suffering. We can't keep ourselves as slaves to those same evil kings that started the enslavements of our forefathers, their own people. We all must wake up. Hereditary kingship is alien to the ancient culture of this our land and our people. Somebody tell you they are custodian of our culture is a lie. Their own is only to hide the true identity of the land. But thank God our other shrines have kept that history, that folklore alive. And now I am here to reveal majority of those folklores, to teach our children, our coming generation, ourselves, the true history of our land, of NZERA, of Idu, of Ka, of Unton. Before the breakup of the land, you hear people say, "We Idu people will break up." Before that breakup, this NZERA, we are calling NZERA people. We still greet it in our own locality. NZERA, no, NZERA. That is our greeting because we are NZERA people. You hear people say, "Pele, no," because they are the Pele sham. You hear people say, no phone, because they are no chance. You know, all of us mingle there. We hear the gala say the girls, people mingle. That's return back to that NZERA land. So the nature, the landscape, and the population and the language, everything got changed. We all must wake up. Hereditary kingship, I keep saying, is alien to the ancient culture of this our land and people. Our ancestors long banned it before they instituted the great God's nation that have become what we today see as Nigeria or West Africa. Those kings are not the custodian of our real culture, as the culture of human sacrifice of innocent persons are not state form of worship by our ancient medieval fathers. They were instituted and supported by the remain of those Arabs that invaded us. They were instituted and supported to remain on that throne so as to hide the true identity of our land. Our religion and cultural values have been hidden. We all should know that they were installed upon us by their Arab brothers. They have long over enslaved us and all our people. Wake up, my people. This attitude of us willfully allowing us to be enslaved by those foreigners must stop for whatsoever reason. It must stop. It's high time you all know who you really are. Yes, we should know who we really are. The enslavement of our fathers was started by the fathers and progenitors of those same hereditary kingship of West African empires. Their ancestors usurped themselves on the God's throne, which they have kept dividing among themselves till date, installing more and more and spreading. Those were installed upon us by the Arab, so as to forever hide, delete, bury the origin and relationship of their so-called human-painted, imagined satanic religions of the world church leaders in ancient time. Those like Christianity, Judaism, and affected first by the Arab leaders of Islam. All modern trials of human imagined religion that factually originated from this our same, they all originated from this same land, which notwithstanding their glistering postures of deceit, preaching, sponsorship, and evangelism on our land, was overwhelmingly rejected by our ancient forefathers, who choose to keep to their religious belief and their truthful, correct way of relating, communicating, and worshipping the real gods. And as they could not be able to occupy or take over our lands, they used and supported one of us to destabilize the God's own nation. One of our sons was used. They rallied him in time of crisis. Know it that it was the Arabs which our fathers called the Arapu. Say Arapu, if you go to the around Igbo nation, the Ka nation, here they say a Ka tribe or the Igbo tribe. Or Anyoma side, here people say Arapu, Arapu, that mad people, Arapu. Arab people. It was those Asian Arab people. They were blacks, they were whites. They were the one that imposed those people. They imposed those kings upon us. Hence, they find it difficult to tell you their history or our history and our origin. They can't tell you the origin of who Oduduwa is. They can't tell you who they are because of this imposition. Because they were imposed with an agreement to hide the true identity of NZERA. How dare now? Some of them have been lied. The lie have been lied from their fathers that the lie have become true to them. But some of our shrines to our altars still kept the truth of who those Oduduwas are. How they came with, how the Arab IBADAN people came in. So many stories which I'm going to relate to you. Just listen, be patient. With this little background, we are getting somewhere. Those kings, they are the evil cause and source of the spiritual problem of this land that must be first uprooted before we go along to rebuild and restore the altar of creation. Yes, that is the ultimate. We must rebuild and restore the altar of creation. Altar, whatever you call it. Altar of creation and the temples of the God. As Satan is still sitting upon that throne of the God, of the good gods. And they are all, those kings are all the human representation and human assistances that he also uses to relate and mediate and rule the people of Africa or the black race, of which are his enslaved subjects of those children of the good gods by our own choice and by our own reluctance to wake up. To restore the black race, starting from Nigeria, the biggest black nation on earth, we must uproot all those kings. We, you and I, us all, must, as a matter of urgency, start now if we want the people of the black race to become relevant as a people again. According to our fathers' message left behind for us all in the state shrine of NZERA headquarters, the restoration of our altar and the temples of the land of NZERA starts from uprooting all those kings and all that relates to them. So wake up, people. I will find time from my busy family and work obligation to further enlighten us all of these missives and prophecies that our ancestors left behind for us to undertake in our times of righteousness. We need mayors elected among us in all our lands, from the villages to our towns, of which is closer to the high priest rulership, high priest kind of rulership system that our ancestors practiced. Okay? So you have gotten the background. Let us dive to the topic. Now, the main topic of my presentation is Oduduwa. Oduduwa. Who is Oduduwa? Yes. What is the origin of Oduduwa? What is the meaning of that term? Who is Oduduwa? Oduduwa, Duduwa. Who is Duduwa? Ask the people that claim that they are. his children or of his lineage, ask them who is Oduduwa and what is the meaning of Oduduwa. They don't know. The few that knows was through hearsay. They don't know because the fact is that they are not really his direct biological children. There's what they call Modian. Children of your followers, your people you love, you pick them to become your own children. Or Modian children, like adopted children. Some of them, they didn't even know them. It was later after he has died, the followers now started putting themselves on throne. They said, we have children of Oduduwa. We are followers of Oduduwa. You know, people, they are not biological. We get them. There are two ways that I'm going to answer this question of who is Oduduwa. Either as what the term Oduduwa means or Oduduwa as a person. I would have said that I have a right to him as a descendant of his direct lineage, much more than any of those that claims to be his descendant, like any of those Obas and Obis, those Onis and Bales, or any of those Onojes and Onogis. Because Oduduwa as a person is said to come from my own lineage. He came from my town and he came from my clan, my lineage, my maternal lineage. He was said to be an evil man, evil person. So our people pronounce his name with spits. They spit like that. After pronouncing his name, they spit. Forget about those Obas and those kings and all those Oni and all those ones. They are the evil upon Africa, upon the black race. Till they are uprooted, till they are removed. Just like what our fathers fought for almost 1,000 years. Till they are removed, the land cannot see light. The land of Africa, the black race cannot return to what we are. Till those kings are uprooted. We have mayors, we have normal elected mayors or something, whatever term they call them, just as we elect governors, local government council. Every village, every town select people for a particular term. No more hereditary. No more non-entities being on throne. No more people fighting. Just elect. Till then, because our ancestors started the selection and election of humanity, the theocracy, the democracy, the Senate you talk of with the nation Greece. No, it is NZERA, Africa, because they were the same people like Greece. They started it. Till we go back to such similar system. I'm not saying we bring theocracy or aristocracy, but till we come to something related like mayor, which the Western worlds have adopted. That is when Africa will raise up. They will stop corrupting politicians. Stop having cultic leadership. Okay. So as I was saying, people of his, they believe that our people were the one, people from our family were the one that among the opposite people that fought him, that wounded him before he died. So his followers, those Arabs now that have installed themselves everywhere as his children, they now debt heavily. Make sure they wipe, whether it was they are trying to find succession war, but they debt heavily with our people. They debt heavily with our families, our lineage, the clan of Odezi, because they spread up to the Hausa, from Hausa land, up to the Ezora or Batala side, so many places, they spread everywhere. So we were enslaved. So they dealt a wicked, evil blow continually on what was left of that Oduduwa lineage, which is his own ancestral people, which culminated in us. The followers of Otuefa burning down and totally erasing a sister town of Ota. That town is called Intamosun. Italy, as I mentioned before, pronounced like Italy. They were the custodian of Osun. That's Ita, Ite Mosun. It's like a pot of Osun. Ite Mosun. That Osun sun god. So when you put Osun, Ogodo, kind of two gods together, Igodo, land of Igodo, Horo Godo, you have Osun, Ogodo. Ogodo now is what they call that's Sogun, Songo or Songo, but that's Oshogun, Oshigodo, which they moved now towards that side. Other shrine that was towards the temple at near Efe or Yoruba lands. That Itamozu was custodian of that Oshungo and other shrines. So it was called Ite Ali, like Italy. Know that all this name Italy was fine here, Italy. This you have Iyone, Iyo Ion, Ile Ale Ion, that's Ilorin. You have Iran, Iyan. Somewhere around Igbo, Iyan. Where is Iyan again? Oh, I forgot. Iyan, Iran, Iyan, Ane, land. That's Iran. You have Iraq. That's Iyake, Ake, the Ake, Igbanke. All those shrines they brought from there, where they placed them, are those I'm mentioning. The one Iyone is Ilone, Ele, Iron. That's Ile Orin, Iron God, Songo, Semogun. The one they brought from Iyake, where they replicated it is now Iraq. I think that is where you have all. Where you bring the one they brought from, Iyake, Italy. The shrine that came from Italy, that's call it Istanbul. Ishi Indembo, Shindembo, that's Istanbul, Shindembo, Istanbul, that's this Iyake. All of them anyway were replicated in Alam because we spread there during Roman time. Because we already existing far before Roman time. So the people were communicating, they replicated those shrines. But the horoscopic temple was in this land of NZERA. That's where Zoroaster, if you hear Zoroaster, because Zoroaster pursued them from Soma, had issue with Zoroaster. The king, their own person that started doing the first monotheistic people, Zoroaster. That's where if you read 1 to 3, I was trying to explain. They say a zero. That is zero is Ezoro. That zero is Ezoro. Then one Ezoro wa. One. We call it one wa. Wa, that's word. Ezoro of the word. Two is pursue. Two pursue. Ndiyi 3, Diyi, that's Iyi people, river people, Ndiyi is servers of the god. Ndiyi pursue up to 1 to 16 and 11 is a car language. The same way we call it Ofe Oro, we call it 1 0 Oforo, Ofe, that's server of Oro. Oforo Uwa, U is O, that you are Owa. Ebo. A boy strand, all a boy strand. The way we read it, Oforo, Ebo, Eto, Eno, Sen, She. The same way aligned with that same English. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. The same meaning. Because if you see Igbanke language or a car language, like a merge of 3 languages. I don't know whether it's Arab, Germanic or Indian, but it's a measure of 3 languages. That's when they speak now Greek, we understand. When Egypt talk, we write Egypt, remains all Egypt language, hieroglyphy was written in our name. All the alphabet, Aliefe, Birindi, all of them were written in a car language. Well, it's Phoenicians, we know that was why it's written in our language, because we are the Phoenicians. The Phoenicians came, we were the same Phoenicians. That was why they came back to be around that Anioma side. Those are the Phoenicians. They started everywhere. So we will get there. We'll get there. So know that those that are celebrating and claiming to be his descendants, are actually not his biological descendants. Rather, they are the children of his loyal, hypnotized, and enslaved followers. Those ones that got a share of the early throne are his adopted modern children. For according to our father's story, it is said that he sold his soul to the evil god, to the evil bad god, so as to claim the throne, so as to sit on behalf of that evil god. That was what Oduduwa did. He sold his soul and soul of follower, and hypnotized his follower, so that he will sit on the throne, and eventually died barren on the throne he was trying to create, only for his follower to start infighting, sharing the land, sharing their children and the other senior followers, putting them on the throne they were trying to create. There are more than 3 instances when my mom and my granny had to go to do family, family or general, like or type of rituals, not general one, or family one sacrifices against the causes, or to annoy causes that she and the diviner suspect are arousing because of the cause that the society heaped on the family members of Undidu Otuefa, those that lead Otuefa. My mother several times say, oh, they made it again, oh, let's go and she with the auntie, and they go and do this, so that those leaders of Otuefa, the cause they cause them will not come upon them, that they are descendants Because they were the descendants that were rejected and was enslaved by those followers when they died. And him, you know, and they ended up destroying their community of Itamozo and enslaving Ota. The headquarters was now Ake. Iduaka. So all those people really suffered it. And my mom was of the specific belief that it was because of those causes that made our lineage not to be having normal or male children at all for a long time. So most of us came from maternal side, you know. Know this, if you don't already know, that it is the folklore of our communities of Otanta, small Ota, that's the Shiota of Igbanke land. It's not always complete without the evil stories of that devilish, evil, and wicked son of theirs that caused and led the Oduduwa religious movement war. As one of the men that came from this our land of Ota and later did everything possible to destroy and wipe away all that Ota stands for from the map. Ali did wipe away Tamozun. If God help, we will rebuild it. Oduduwa is a set of people from a place they call Ota or Tanta or Ishiota, Ishita, which means the capital head of that town of headquarters of the Oteja continent, Oteja nation. Know that Oteja, Ota head, soil, land, Ota is the Ota. Then earth is the Eja, like Egypt. Eja means Geo. Was the first name of our African continent, Oteja. Go it. They call it Akebuland. They call it Efe Reika. That's servers of Ray of Eka. That's Africa. You call it Akebuland. The Akebu Ale. That's the land that carried the Ake. There are so many names. You have a Guinea, blacks in black word in Guinea. So many names. All of them are Eka name. Listen to what I'm saying. Right? Google them. You professors, you historians, theologians, research it. Let's rewrite, let's collaborate and write our history well. Those people in the shrine, they still have the history, but the kings have messed it up, you know. So the theologians are the Ishita gave the biblical theologian and history the name Ishita or center or city or star of Ndiefida. Ida is a shrine. That's what the origin of the name David. Ndiefida. Those that serve Ida. Even the Solomon or Ishi Olomo, the head of the Olo house of Mo, Solomon, all of them are all there. The story, somehow related story, you know. Those are another topic. We'll get there. Oduduwa, the leader. Anyway, let's go to Oduduwa. Oduduwa, the leader of the warrior that started that last major war that scattered the God's land in West Africa was from Igbanke. Just know it. No argument. It was from Igbanke. It was from Ota. It was from Agbai. Agba, seat of Iyi, Agbai. That's some call it Agbai. There was others call it Agbai Eteto, Igbanke Eteto, Egban Ake. The same they replicated Egbanke, Iduake, Ota. This Igbanke Eteto was a kind of autonomous part of the now defunct Benin Empire. It's located between the boundary of Edo and Delta states of Nigeria of West Africa. Now they call us Ovien. Those people call us Ofien. Ofeane. It's a derogatory and connote us as slaves, only recognizing and according only a few of all lineages among them that they know are support of the Oduduwa war. In the olden, they still know themselves. They still have those societies that identify themselves. Only because those ones ancestors were part and parcel of their rebellion and agreed to indulge in their evil abdicating of the throne of the gods for the evil god. We took the God's throne from the Ogbore, the good gods, and made the Ezata, the evil one, to sit on Africa's throne. So Africa is being ruled. From Africa, evil is ruling the whole world. Go even the British Empire, they stood the Socota, called Scotland, the Scotland, the Stonehenge, the Orange. They are the same Ogun, the same Edinburgh, the same Humbo River, all those Europe, all those I can't name, Europe. In the Krishiteni, those that took over. Krishiteni was already existing before Christianity, before Jesus. The name Krishiteni was existing because they are the one that took over Ishiteni. The Ishida is far before Christianity or originated or this thing. So, but now it's as if Jesus is the origin of Christianity. No, Christianity started before Jesus. And our language, you decipher it, you see that it's true. Historians have proved it too. So we Africans ought to know those things. Know our history. Know your history. If we know it, first let us think together. Restore our land's dignity. All those kings that have enslaved our people, enslaved us, breed us as, sell us as commodities. They should know, they have no right of rulership. Anyone still patronizing them, I'm chief this, I'm that, what this. You are part of the demon. You are cursed. They will hypnotize you. That's what you call hypnosis. Hypnosis. The way if you put a cow, you give him food. Even though he travel to 10 miles, he will no road come. He will become your slave. Goat, you put it there, you put it on the head. That will he will sleep there 100 years without knowing himself. That's the hypnosis. That's what they did. They are doing. Those kings are doing all to you with their juju, their charm. That evil, that evil is the human sacrifice is not our way of worship. Our ancestors already banned human sacrifices. Even I don't know whether they do prisoners, murderers, because it's been banned. That's why you have the name sheep, the name goat, the name not Ifina, the goat sheep is called goaton. It's a representation of using humanity. They use sheep, goat, and this. That's the meaning of the goat. The meaning of geota. That's geot. The meaning of acton, ejaton. The meaning of it is that this thing using it to replace humanity, human being for sacrifice. That's why if you read the name, you see it. That's the story of our elders. They banned human sacrifice, but those people brought back those charms and started it. So this Idu was known by all those various names that I have mentioned above, and was also called Ndiefe. That is the Fe, Ilori, Iyo. We call Iyo. Other being dragged by that's now been dragged by the Yoruba, the Nupes, the Kari, and the Hausas. Even Fulani people dragging that they own this, they own that. Many other major than that's because of all those are now Hausa, Kanuri, Yoruba, many, they were all a car. That's why they have rights, they are dragging, they are all a car, they only do people, their ancestors. They had the histories, but perhaps they don't really understand it again. Yoruba, Igbo, all of them have a right to that effect. They have a right to any other land in Nigeria. This tribal issue, because of, we'll explain how tribalism started in Nigeria or West Africa. Even the people that left to Ghana, all of them, how they were first shifted there. They tried to form a kingship, started before the kingship now came, before those time of Oduduwa, and this issue of finally making our land now hibernated. God's land hibernated, and you think we'll come out? We have to restart that land somehow, restart spiritually. So all those people are well known Eka or Edu people before they started welcoming other people from other continents of Asia and Europe that literally came and migrated down to come answer the earlier calls of the god of NZERA, of Alidu. Those later migrants changed the common Okwane, the language. They changed it of Ale NZERA, Ale Eka, Ale Edu, Ale two people. Anyway, that is another topic. The story of Oduduwa started after the eventual fall of our ancient Egypt. Egypt, of all those its neighbors as Ethiopia, Sudan, Kush, Meroe, Asku. After that fall, they were inhabited by, those lands were inhabited by pure Eka people who formed those lands scattered and migrated deeper into the forest. So those Egyptians and those Sudan, all those Ethiopia, they came and migrated deeper into the forests of Africa. Mind you, all those lands were initially formed by Eka people. And their names still have the simple, correct, straightforward meaning in our Eka language. Ethiopia, Sudan, Okusho, Meroe, Askum, all of them are Eka words. Many of those people eventually found their way to the headquarter land of NZERA, that's the Igbanke. That was how many of the deserter soldiers of Mo Hamidu, that is a Mohammedan. Some call it Mo Oramedan, but the name we elders call it Mo Ohame. Oha like Oha, Ohaneze, Mo Oha Ame. The land is there. The Esau land is there. Ale So is there. Ale Ohame is there. Ale Ohame is there. Ale Esau. Ohame. Jacob. There's another land again, another biblical name. All of them are surrounding Ota there. In Agbo zone. Okay. Oza is there, like Giza. You see Gaza Strip, all those ones, they are all there. Anyway. So those soldiers that migrated from Mohammed War and those that the defeated one that fought the Roman side that tried to remove Persia and all that. So all of them, they migrated back to NZERA. My parents and my grandmom told me, that this when they told me that this Oduduwa is from this community of Ota, which itself is one of the 6 conglomerated towns that make up this Igbanke land, or Igbanke land. Who was the headquarters of the hibernated? I'm trying to repeat things. Let me repeat those things so that we now get a better grasp of it. You see, was the headquarters of the hibernated ancient medieval nation of NZERA, the real Israel that now became West African area, which is popularly known as a Cat tribe. And this Igbanke was the headquarters of the locally called Ishita, anglicized as city center or star, where the representative of all the people that rules the nation dwell at the center, at the Metiti, that we are here Mediterranean, Metiti of the nation of Alizeri. Our town of Ota have a sister town known as Itamosun, or known popularly as Itali, that was later destroyed, burned down, and hibernated, wiped off map. We and our surrounding people of those communities are known by so many names and totemic titles, such as, let me give out what we call ourselves. Our totemic titles. We are known as like Agbo Odeze Alinzeri. Agbo Odeze Alinzeri. We are known as Agbo Ishi Idu. Agbo Ishi Edu. Agbo Ishi Edu. We are known as Idumu Igun. We are known as Ndiomu Eromo. Omu Eromo. Ask anybody who are the Omu Eromo. Omu Eri. The children of Eri. The old children of, like in Biri, all those ones. We call ourselves Omu Eromo. You see almost of those are king. We are the Omu, the Eromo. The Omu Eromo. That is that place. The Tamozun, the Ota. We bear the Omu Ake, Omu Eromo. Some call us Idumueri. Some call us Omu Nowhere. Nowhere is like birth of Osiris that they use Jesus now to represent. Jesus represents Osiris that was coming to save the world, to train people with the Kushi people, the Kush. That Osiris is what represented by Jesus. Jesus is our name. Jesus, go save your friends. All the biblical name is a Igbanke name. Bible written in Igbanke. From Genesis to Apocalypse, Refo, all of them are a language, Igbanke language. Okay, but that is not my topic for now. My topic is Oduduwa. I will get there if I have time. But let me tell you, Oduduwa should not be used for a nation. It should not be used, a name we should be proud of. If we know the history of Oduduwa, it's an evil man. So they call our people Agbo Odeze, Agbo Odeze Alizeri, Agbo Ishiedu. You see, they call us Idumu Ogun, this is Igwe. They call us Indio, Igwe is a Songo, Dogon, Dragon. That's Igun, Digon. We call it Indio Mueru Eromo. Ndio Mueromo, Ndio Munowe, some call it Mueri, some call Omo Ogun, some call Omo Olokun, some call Omo Etan. That's all. Some call Omo Utohim. Ask Japanese where they came. They say they are from Utohim. This Utohim. Ask even some Fulani be claiming they are from Utoheri. We are called Omo Igodo. Ndi Biewa. Ibiewa. We are called Omo Arabambili. We are called Omo Ak. We are called Oza, Omo Ovia, Jehovah. We are called Omo Ohame. We are called Omo, like Tom Obu of Egypt, Tom Obu, Ndi Omo Obu of Egypt, which Christianity replicated completely from Genesis, from Ndi Bobu Pope to the end. We get there. Omo Ezora, Omo Ezuku Ezora Uku, Omo Iyi Parentus. Yefretus, Omu Yi Pretus, that's a way you have a pentu, you Perentu, Ferota, Feretus, Ferenton, Yi Frentus, where here Bible see Euphrates, Yi Prontus. It's Phratis, taken from Phratis. Phratis is Yi Prontus. We are the Omu Perentu. The shrine of a pentu is in my village, Perentu. There's a Pere or lion of Untu, or the prayer of Untu, or the court of Untu. It's in my village, in two here, Bantu. Bintu, this is Nota. Write it down, note those things. Researchers will come and cross-check all those things I'm saying. Omo Oshin Onisha, Osuonisha. Osuonisha, Omo Osuonisha. It's in my place, Osuonisha. Phenoshan, that's where they say Horosha Onisha. That's Feonisha, Onisha. Oni official. Mwale, Omu El, Omu Ele, Omumba, Mbeku, Omumbeku. There's so many names, it is so many, but we individually know who we are. We are custodian of each of the instruments of the God, from Igodo to all of them. from Uromi, all of them. We are the custodian. You see, you get to know the custodian of even the Enyangu, we say Enyangu, Yahweh, all the custodian of those shrines. They are all there. They are still, the remnants are still there. Remnants are still there. Like so are the names of the various numerous instruments of the God called shrines and deity that is used to invoke each of the pantheon of families of the gods that is abound in our community. Hope we know and remember that the real Israelites relate or commit or worship the real God in the real original ways that the gods established. Starting with the fact that they are the polytheistic people, are not monotheistic. They worship many gods. That are the real Israel. Anybody modeling all those gods together is not Israelites. The answer better answer another. The real NZERA people or the real Duika people are polytheistic. Bible told you how even the origin of the Hebrew Bible tell you the Lephemon people. They migrated from so and so summer to the land of more people. Ali Dos, Ali Shota. It's Shimota. Is the migration name. While English call it Esiudo, do, the do land, Eshidu. Do land. So many of our land, they do, ending on it. So many, those. So many. That's another topic. If you continue following me, subscribe and follow me, I'll be teaching you till we unite and see how to effect this altar and these temples of the God. Let us not be scared. God, if God will, God will protect us. From everybody will become our enemy. Yes, we will become enemy of everybody because we are doing the truth. Because they want to hide the history. But the history is now being revealed. It's the gods that are revealing, not my strength. Not even my ancestors that keep teaching it generation after generation. Knowing that one day it will be useful to prove identity of who is who. I'm not saying the wise are not. The wise were part of Israel. They were part of us, the Phoenicians, the Palestinians. They were, but to say that as if we are non-entities, no, we are all the same people. Even initial time they were below, but now they've risen. They are dominating. Even our own kings didn't make matter. We should have lived in equality. Those kings, they hid their true histories. They lied and modeled up everything that made us to look as if we are animals. All our former Asian true stories of the NZERA, the Du land, the greatest nation that ever existed, because of their kind of selfishness to secure their throne, they lied to the whole world. Now the truth will come. A lot of people knows the truth. My uncles have written book on it. It has even already virtually been published. Nobody can hide it again. Those people, they are the one that use images, objects to represent what they imagine, as they imagine God revealed to them. But things that they can't see in immediate space. As it was assumed that the gods masquerade themselves with physical objects. The gods masquerade with the moon. The gods masquerade with the sun. They masquerade with the stars. They masquerade with trees. With so many things. The gods manifest in so many ways. So that's why they call us like animists. We animate things. Every religion now indulge in the use of those idols, object, picture, video, image. Who is not using image again? In their mode of worship. Christianity or Islam, all of them use it. They use video. But initial time, that was what they accused the Israeli people. That made them the trust of this evil human imagined religion of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. They formed mainly wrong and they tried to destroy the Israeli people. That's what they found wrong in the polytheistic worship of the African traditional religion. Now all religions are into it. See it. They are into use of image. Who does not use it? Even some are hanging their pastor here. Yeah? It was those that rejected relationship with the real good gods called Zoroaster in all summer, that followed by our Judaism that started all this persecution of the real children of gods. Then the Christian, the Islam started it. Then the Islam people, they modeled their worship together. The monasteristic people, those people are not the ones that started. They rejected God, but yet they are answering that they are children of Israel. Does God change? Do God change? Your God that is overwhelming over everything. It say no, you are doing this change from we only where there is modernity, but not that they said you change the principle. There is no more. All God is one, single God, lonely God. The whole world. It doesn't work that way, and He created multiple people. All the human parts are name of God. Let us not go there. We do this thing step by step. Oduduwa is what we are doing. So those are the ones, those religions are the ones that rejected the gods, as they erroneously and easily modeled up all the different identity of God as one and worship them together as one God. Yet imbibing the various phantom names of the God as one God. The real Israel still continue their African traditional religious mode of worship. inside the hidden hinterland of the NZERA till date. However, those that have already rejected the ways of Eden are still falsely claiming and clinging to the name NZERA, Israel, a name they rejected. As per kingship, our elders said that in this land that was earlier known as NZERA, what we today know or forced to obey and practice and see as hereditary kingship was forbidden and was not supposed to exist in this our land of the God. But it was the evil Oduduwa people that assist the enemy's God, Satan, to reinstitute it into this land. And they sold their soul to the evil one so that they will be the ones that will physically help him sit on that throne, on that world spiritual throne. Only the King of Kings of the gods himself was supposed to be king over NZERA, the land of the true gods, the land of the living and the dead spirits. See, the land of the true, the land of the gods, the land of the living and land of the dead living spirits that make up the assumed inhabitant of this land of the living, the dead, and the alive dead spirits, the gods. Yes, it still remains. That's why the temples is the realm that makes the gods to open and enter, egress between the living and the dead. Hereditary kingship have long been banished centuries or perhaps thousands of years earlier at the land of the Humbudo. Aliudo is what they call London now. Aliudo, Humbudo, ancient London. Akan Akedian, Muzopota, I wear Hawaii, you all the name in Ishioma Soma. They were all men, droidic ancestors, where the droids ancestors migrated to form this one world nation that came to be known as NZERA. When it was founded, the people elect their kingship from the Kyohen, from the high priest cadre of the heads of the lands, according to active seniorities, with some certain distance. That's when they do election. Not that too old, but not too young. There can be certain things, and thereafter make certain another election or selection after 3 years of the diamonds of one. Those enthroned king of the land was the king of the gods. The enthroned king, general king of the land, was the king of the gods, Ora. That he was enthroned as the people was awaiting Osa. Osa was Osiris that was coming to teach mankind how to transit from mere being human being to becoming what they today call the gods. That's what they call it. Man was supposed to be civilized from being a human being to become a god. All of us will be trained with all those shrines, all those things that they are bringing to a one-world university. A one-world university. That's the origin of university. We're here, university in Timbuktu. The origin was that Ota was supposed to be all the meaning of universities, all shrines in one place to teach the whole world. So bringing all those shrines would have taught all man the way of the gods, so that humanity would transit. You see people vanishing, people flying, people living eternality. They grow wings, they fly to the other realm physically. So God was supposed to become flesh and blood. That was the origin of this Osa. But now they say Jesus, he came, he died. Osa was supposed to come from the dead to the living, to train all in that university to become gods, human beings, to civilize us, to live eternally without dying again, so that mankind can grow old like people of old and fly away back to the Enu. They see where Enu, assisting the grand king of the gods, Ora. The person that was assisting in those elected were six grand servants like King Kohens. They are synonymous like the Pharaohs, the servants of Re, that rules the land on behalf of the kingly God himself. Those 6 people of 6 regions, domains, each domain is divided into 2. That makes the 12 tribes of Israel. They are all there. The demarcation, the triangular demarcation of the 6th land, well, it's still there today. At least theoretically you see it, although boundary might have shifted, but it's still there. Those human appointed and assisted kings are selected from the headship of the Ohens, called the Kyohen. And according to the seniority and some certain quality, hence, you see that our form of government was a measure of what we call Indiyakrieze. You know what they call the Indiyakrieze? They are Diyakrieze, theocracy. Indioheyi, theocracy. Indioheyi, akrieze. Krieze is the kire, akrieze. Krieze Yezuwa. Then where you say Egerito, akrieze, that's gerontocracy. Egeri, that's old age. To, last. You krieze, gerontocracy. When you hear Idumu krieze, that's democracy. Dumu krieze. Dumu is domain. Krieze, that's democracy. They were the one that started after the legend of those Kyohen. It's the people that rule. That respectively are the shrine, the Kyohen people, Krieze. old people that are talk crazy, they talk crazy, domain, dumu crazy. I will explain those things in another book. Let's talk of the Oduduwa. It is said that there was a kingship torso in our Idumu, in our Nome domain region. Some of those people that lately migrated back from our township of Egypt, Canaan, Ethiopia, due to the religious Mohammedan Ottoman, they were the one that took advantage of it. Those youth that have served as soldiers of those region war on those our foreign land rallied around Oduduwa and formed a standing army of indigenes that was used to overthrow, supported by the external forces, to overthrow the government of the land of NZERA, which they later shared among themselves. They are now becoming the kings everywhere, still multiplying. It was on top of the God's nation, on top of the, it was on top of this God nation, variously called as Alin Zeri, Idu, Ika, Intu, that one outside states. The earlier states of the Fulani conquered and called Banza Kingdom. They were illegally and violently founded upon, or Yo, Benin, those different outside states. And even the ZERA, the ZERA around the Igbo land too, or Batalas or something like that. They were all on top of the NZERA capital area. The Male, the Shanghai, the other, those ones, were when the Fulani first drove us away from the capital. People now migrated because they come from the Chad areas where links to Egypt. So the Roman and this one, the Arab, the attack was coming from that side. They shifted the empire to there's the initial forming of the Ghana Empire. But later on, people could back because they could not sustain fly, bee, and the mosquito. No foreigner can live in our land. No foreigner can sustain. All their horses, everything will always die. So it was only an indigene that was able to. That was Oduduwa and those indigenous that were always going, coming. They were living in township. Township was Egypt, Sudan. All those were the town. Why we were the hinterland? The NZERA land was the hinterland. But the hinterland were where you have the shrines ruling the whole world. Israel. So when they gave the story of Israel today, they will use only one of the town, which is outskirts out of Egypt, the other side of Egypt. They call it a Canaan. A Canaan. A car lives here. A car lives in this land. A Canaan. That Canaan. They use it to form the whole story of NZERA. Why the capital of NZERA, the Otara Igbanke, is as if it never existed, which is in West Africa, far off. That is the problem. The real NZERA people are not according to identity, but those that destroyed NZERA are now claiming NZERA. Irony. Irony of life. If you listen to me to this extent, will you not be surprised to this I'm trying to narrate to you? How Ezota is the Satan. People will take biro. You start your own research, your own analysis. Even the Google check things. You'll be surprised that those things are there. We don't read. Black people don't read. And my mothers and fathers narrated it to me. I corroborated them from the other books. How everything, Phoenicians, Etruscans, Palestinian, all their stories, their gods. The Canadian gods are Angu. We worship, my king is called, is greeted Angu. The same Angu. That's the god, the sun god. That's what the king of Ota is greeted. Present king of, human king of Ota. So if you look at the whole thing, you know that our history is open, but people are not interested, and the kings are narrating things to confuse people because they want to hide the truth of our great identity, of the God's holy nation of original real NZERA. By answering the names, they answer the name of the gods and the lands of that nation. More abomination, you see kings are answering names of the gods, answering the name of the land. This is the birth of the curses that have befallen upon the people of the black race, leading to all the racist action of the erstwhile downtrodden, the whites that were downtrodden. Now they are the one enslaving us. That we have all bore all this past generation, not to talk of the untimely death, the suffering, the wars, the poverty that have ravaged the land. Hence, you continually see the confusion of the people here and there, confused of the whereabouts of the real original land of NZERA. The land of Israel. People are confused. People are writing, where is Israel? It's not this. Israel is that. They will be formulating. Canaan is, they saw this, they saw that. Lie. The real Israel is deep down in West Africa. The remnants of it is still there. The curse have to be broken, and according to our father, it can only be done by uprooting all those kings that claims to be from the lineage of the evil called Oduduwa. That is another story. The man that has come to be known as Oduduwa, the narration of the memory of the story of Oduduwa, among many of the folklore relating to the history of the real land of NZERA land, is banned both in memory and narration, as in the Moonlight story. Hence, whenever our fathers want to inevitably make mention of it, they ascribe the names all those names with names of animal into it till it becomes simple fairy tale that ordinary minds can no longer comprehend. That was how people generally lost it. They'll give you story, they'll put animal, they'll put umbeku, they'll put letu, alintu, they'll put ali zere, esheni, zere, zere, this one, isele. They'll put all those names to hide the real identity of their story. With time, people lost it. It become fairy tale. If not because we were trained in the shrine, in the Ohen, we wouldn't know the truth of all this thing, how to align it. It is only their version of such story that we are ever allowed to be told and retold all of it for the reason that with time people will forever forget the famed land of NZERA, the land of the gods. All that those people claiming to be the children of Oduduwa knows about him is that he's a great man. Yes, a very, very great man. Especially he is the one of the greatest in spirituality. I presume and defied like a god. However, those same people do not seem to stop to think, how did he become great? What baffles people like us more is that such an educated group of people or people not to know is that since the world is still under the ruler of the bad evil one should know and be conscious of the fact that when the world says someone is a strong man, is a great man, it means such a person might be totally evil. Yes, when you hear the word say, because the word praises evil. Why the noble people are downtrodden now? And as per the person that has come to be ascribed as that name, he is an evil grandmaster, Oduduwa. That man that has come to be known Oduduwa is an epitome of evil that I advise we all should desist from ever using as such a name in the cycle of the righteous people. He is evil and eschews demonic causes. He stands for what violence stands for. And his rise to power was exactly what those Boko Haramists you see, all those jihadists you see, what all those jihadists stand for, what they are doing, they did the Oduduwa people and the 12 people perhaps, and Ogboni of ancient Ogboni, not present one, the ancient one, they perhaps did worse because what they did was those Sokweka, what they did was what those jihadists did was what fed those jihadists of the Oduduwa people did to the land of the gods. That name and what it stands for have been seriously cursed and condemned. Him and all that claim to descend from him have been cursed and condemned to death by the bygone forefathers of our holy land. And know that the curse upon him and his fellowship is the grand last curse that befell and stagnated the people of the black race. Oduduwa is a curse, and the curse upon him as a Kalahadian or Dolige. So Dolige, so many other names they call them and their followers. Unknown is what is still affecting people of Efereka, Ndefere of Eka. The fulfillment of that condemnation of all that pertains to Oduduwa and his fellow grand follower is the cause that is waiting to be fulfilled. Is the grand cause, the choice, the road that is waiting to be fulfilled before the black race shall be freed from this enslavement. Wait, I will explain more. Have you not for once wondered how they were able to be installed upon our land? They were installed over our land of the gods. The real land of NZERA by the Mohammedan, the Ottoman Empire founder. It was the jihadist soldiers of the Ottoman expanding empire that came to use them to secure this our most important nation at that old age. Those soldiers were founders of those present-day IBADAN. It started as IBADAN. IBADAN was the direct close followers of Muhammad, the founders of Islam, but had leadership torso after his death when some other persons took over the leadership mantle. They were kind of excommunicated in the affairs of things after that torso, and they later migrated out from Egypt, not Mecca then. I don't think they founded Mecca, from Egypt area to this or Medina. I don't think they founded Medina has been centralized like that, but they were mainly from Egypt, Sudan, and all those areas. So those people migrated away from this Egypt area to this our most hinterland part of where all the world knew that it is the root of all civilization. So they migrated back to NZERA, the root of all civilization, all religion, whatever. So the soldiers that also tried to defend the land of Egypt, those that they fought with. So both sides of the war, and many Egyptians who call NZERA they are Nediale. NZERA is called Nigerale in the fatherland. All of them return back to the fatherland. It was also those blacks, those soldiers that choose our evil Oduduwa. They rally around him with the message that they are to team up or regroup and march upon Oduduwa people. They rally around people. They want to regroup and march upon those occupying their land of Egypt, as is those Sudan, Ethiopia, Ascom, Ekana, Nimero, Nubia, No, they were rallying people, as they said, they rally people around. So we want to go and fight them. We want to form a soldier to go and recover our Egypt, to go and recover our Sudan. That was what they used to deceive people. But they never did. Instead, they marched upon the land of NZERA, the land of Idu, installing themselves as kings upon all the land. And who are you to obstruct them? That was how they started the evil kind of worship of Satan. Human sacrifices, juju, more power. That you see today throughout all the king palaces. Evil people. Arise, people of my country, Nigeria. Stop infighting. Unite and start rebuilding the altar and the temple. That is the duty waiting for us. If you want to heal the wounds and curses upon the black race, upon Africa, those kings are the first that our ancestors said must be uprooted before we work to restore the real altar and the temple of the gods. So that communication with the real cycle of the gods, the good gods, can ever start again. Those that formed that BADIN army were the jihadist soldiers that came from the followers of Muhammad to secure this land, where it is believed that their Prophet Muhammad ancestor came from. It's believed that Muhammad Idu came from here. The ancestor on the Bindire, just same as what all the Boko Haramists are still trying to do today. They first took over Oyo, Ife area before moving down to take over Agbane, that's Igbanke, which is the symbolic land of Ota. Hence, they want to even form a nation after his name, and perhaps make him they want to form Oduduwa nation now. Make him their state god. See the trick of Ezata. The bad one is so bad. The spirit of deceit has never stopped working. So people that are doing follow after all those that call themselves kings should wake up. Wake up for your follow. You achieve this, you achieve that, you are ballet this, you are that. Wake up. What should be ruling our lands ourselves in form of mayors? Arise, my people. Let's start breaking all those costs or put all those kingship. If you people want our land and the black race to start progressing again. Our worship was not human sacrifice. They introduced it. Even the churches are not doing it. Stop following them. Just as your forefathers and mothers did after the same wicked people charmed your fathers and your mother. Where they hugmono them, hugmono no sars, spell. They hypnotize them. Wake up. The message and will of our common ancestor is that we all should team up and return the land to what it was earlier. To NZERA with the altar and the temples. I will repeat it 100 times. That no single lineage was to be allowed to rule the land of the gods. And all those kingship being planted continuously should be uprooted and burnt away immediately at the very outskirts of all those lands as the ritual of cleansing. Ask them why the Oduduwa war was being fought against them for so long. Why people like Oduduwa, Ofe Amwegbe, servants of the sun god, fought against the Oduduwa, those people. Why the Jews, Christianity, Islam, via Portuguese, Spanish, Dutch, Arab jihadists supported their fathers to conquer our land, if what they were doing was if it was the elders that invited them, if it was the wish of our forefathers to install kingship. Why did the Spanish, the Potokin, the Dutch, the Arabs, see how the Spanish and this, how they conquer the camp people, the semi-camp people of America? If it was our elder that invited, why do those Portuguese, all of the Dutch, Arabs support them? It is time for us to restart our system of representation with mayors. It's closer to the former what our ancestors, the Kiohen is theocracy, democracy, and the Senate they did. Just as our fathers started ruling with their democracies and gerontocracies and theocracy millennia ago. Just like it is now done in all the Western world. Wake up, my people. Let us wake up. Hear my cry, hear my voice, hear my prayer. I'm begging you all. Uproot all those kings. I do not hate them in person. I hate what they stand for. It is time all villages must be elected mayors. They are wicked people. They have sold their soul and heart to the evil, wicked God, the Satan. They are sitting on that throne on behalf of a Satan. They are the cost to Africa and the black race. We can never progress with them all over us. They are being on the thrones of the God the same as our land being ruled by Satan. As they are the representative of a Satan. That Ota, a Satan, the one that said he's sitting on the throne. We need to overthrow him. Who claimed to sit on the throne of Ota? Ota or Oteja, Africa, was one of the first names. Oteja, you know, I said was the first name of Africa. Other names of Africa, we'll discuss that. Those kings are the reps of Satan ruling Africa. We reject them as our great good fathers rejected them. If not for those Arabs and Mohammedan jihad that helped install them upon us. So I keep saying, that name Oduduwa is a curse upon Africa, upon the black race, upon the whole world. I'm not saying Yoruba. Yoruba is our name, but Oduduwa It's a curse. It was the last straw that hibernated the green land of the gods. Oduduwa is the last problem of or curse that placed and hooked the people of the black race where they are currently downtrodden as a race today. He is the cause of this our backwardness, this disrespect among community of nations. We lack this knowledge because those kings and princes that are the evil continuation of what he was or he would do everything to make what he was, we do everything to make sure that the true history of our ancestors is never revealed to us of the black race. Hence they keep their falsified narratives. But enough is enough. For truth can never be hidden forever. Nobody will agree to tell an evil story of how the land have, nobody will agree to tell an evil story of how the land have passed a death penalty upon their adopted father and themselves. Whose side? Hence they have done everything to erase and distort the real history of our land, the God's nation, so as to perpetually hide themselves. Hide those evil histories that I've been revealing now. A speck of it is what I'm revealing here. Not just Oduduwa, but Indiduwa, meaning the people that spoiled, split or Teja nation. We Igbankes cannot be said to come from one part. Well, let me go to Igbanke. We of the Igbanke, that Igbanke land now, we Oduduwa come from Ota. White people are saying this. Some will say it's a Kanuri man, it's a Nukbe man, it's a Hausa man. Some will say it's a Benin man, some will say it's a Yoruba man, some will say it's from the east. Why we Igbankes, the Ota people cannot say we are from a particular nation is that there was no known differential or tribal differences till later age of the nation. People just follow a particular shrine they are dedicated to. It's a holy land. It's a land of shrine, land of the gods. It is this God that determines what is tribe. Like now, Yoruba is those that serve Yoruba. Outside is those that serve Osa. Just like that, all those tribes you see, they are all particular name of a car, name of gods and all that. I will explain them. Sheki, Shekelewu, Shekalaiwi, Sheki, Urobo. All those names I can't name. I will explain them with time. Do you know even Ghana, Savannah, Ghana, even Male, all of them I can't name. All of them are name of that English related Greek or Egypt name, which is a can name. If people now that your senses are waking up, start thinking. If you understand the car language, start retaking all the things in English. When they say like people, buibu, people, buibu, they are all the same name in another tongue. If you understand it, you'll be surprised. So people were followers of God. From the earlier, more ancient classical age, when they came together from Sumer, Akkadians, Mesopotamia, Hombo, Aliudon, Norse, Onoishi, Nondeka, Araba, all other nations of those age to study this in NZERA, inside the earlier evacuated dark continent. Tribal differences were not of much demarcating or social cultural demarcation. It was not of much importance, apart from the regions or domains were custodian of some particular pantheon and instruments of the god. Rather, followers of that particular pantheon of the gods, that is what they call themselves. We of Ota, Igbanke, Igbanke territory, were linked and related to the people that are today known as the Jukus. We are related to the Kanuris. We are related to the Hausas. We are related to the Urobos. We are related to the Igbos. We are related to the Benis. We are related to so many, the Yorubas. On boundary, we share boundary with all this Olukumidem, the Kogido, the Yoruba, all those share boundary around the Igbanke. To tell you the relate, because they try to condone of that headquarter, although it didn't work for they shifted the headquarter towards the Ife and towards the Benin side. We of Ota Igbanke were linked to all those people. To the Arochukus, who were the Ibiris, the Imbiru, the Habiru, Ohabirus, the Hebrews, for lowly society people, not Igbo, not Igbo. Igbo was derogatory, exclusive like for returning Egyptian slaves. They were coins as the Ibirus, the Ibiris. Igbo is another Hebrew. Yeah. They come from this Ibirus, Igbo, slave. But those people have choose to use it. They are honorable people. You find Igbo everywhere. But that time, that was their name. Igbo was for slavery. They are not. It's kind of derogatory, but they are not derogatory people. They are. We are all the same people. My father, my family were not slaves too. We are enslaved by those kings. So slave does not make a king can become slave. Like now, if all those kings are demoted or they are overthrown or put, they will still come down to normal level below us. If we are in the ancient, they will. When we overthrow them, we put them as our slaves. So a king can become slave, and the same thing, a slave can become king. So the name does not matter. It is your personal identity that matters. your humanity, your nobility that matters. If the world is start ruling by the good God, as it was in the ancient holy days, good nobility will start being exhausted, not now that evil is being exalted. People that are great, Hitler is a great man. Yes, Oduduwa is a great man. Evil people are the one they call great. Good people are not called Caesar them. People that did destruction, that wiped out people, killed, they are called great people. Why the people that are killed, noble people, are forgotten? Because Satan is ruling the world. Human sacrifice is what it needs to regain those firstborn in humanity, to get more power. I've said that Almighty God, let me go. Almighty God, Ora, was the king over the whole land. And he was perhaps a symbolic king, as he was not physical, but perhaps spiritual, that communicates to the people through the Ora. When they say Ora, Eku is talk. Ora is God. Oreku, shrine. Is that not Oracle? Which are anglicized as Oracle? Oracle of Defi, Ndiefe, Defi, Oracle. So many history we will learn with time. I pray God, if God allows me to give the story of my mothers, of the shrine, complete to the world, let us realign the true history that biblical people have so redacted the history of our ancestors. Let us say the truth of our history. It is known that after the leadership also that this Oduduwa was involved in, he ran away on exile from Ota and moved to another of our big town, which was this Ife. It was from that Ife that he later aligned with those returning of Mohammedan Ottoman war that engulfed Egypt. Those people were there on a mission to secure this our land, as Ottoman made attempt to take over all the world or the continent, or rather, they did it on their own. But it was with those Ottoman people, those Mohammedan war leftovers, that he rallied together by him, and that they started become his follower. They regrouped with more and more people, new ones all over the land of Israel, with the aim that they were going to take over control of the lands of Egypt, Sudan, and all that, and environment. Fight the Ottoman and take over. But under these guys, they were able to rally more than enough already trained and equipped soldiers. Those soldiers were the bulk of the IBADAN. They are from Ibadan, now present Ibadan city. That were close brother and sister of the founder of Islam, which we all call Muhammad, and which our elders call him Mo Ohamidu, Mo Amudan, of which is not only our language phrase, but many believed his parents in the Bidire, in the Bitre, that's Imbindi Ire, literally meaning house or land of Ray people. Who are Ray people? Are we not the Ray people or are people? Like most Asian rap, people even say that his face doesn't show because he's a black man. We don't know. I'm not saying that, but the people that are trying to reclaim this holy of holy land, they have a reason. From ancient day, they've been fighting to take over NZERA, and they've caused so much harm. When you talk about, say, the original Araba, we have Araba here. When you talk of Esau, we have Esau, Ali Ohame, Ali Esau, and Ishi is there in our place. When you talk of Nabatians, oh no, Abata. Is it not Nabatian that we still have in around Israel, around the Arab area? It was still here. Unabota, Aba, Ota, regions, domain. Ibadan people were called Badin people. So there are many things we need to learn. Okay, as I was saying, it's believed that Muhammad's parents were part of the Pitra, which was Ndire. Like when you say Paris, Birishi or Persia, Pitra, Ndire. That's Ndire. Name literally meaning house or land of the Ray people. Who are the Ray people? What are people in the olden days? Is it not the worshippers of this thing? They have shrine, they have idol. Is it not us? They are black settlements. Like even Asoko, if you go Askum, the king of Askum, you see King Eze, you say King Ezana of Askum. You see, the Askum was black, kind of Phoenician nation where people now say, Askum is, we call the yam from Asoko, Meriore, all those yam names, are names of all those our lands. Egi, but that Askum is an Eka kind of name in the olden days. I don't know where they were around the Arabian side, where they say they came from. So, Bitre is still another Mbindi Ire. Just like most of our Araba people, they claim ancestral to be of this same holy of all holy land of NZERA that was original Araba or original Ono or Abata. Nabota. See? So this is BADIN. Let me go. That's Ele BADIN. People, I believe he gave rise to the name bad people. Bad. in our Ebonic language. Ebonic is what they now call English language. Ebo, shrine language. It's kind of a strong people, what they use in a summer too. Ebonic, they are part of Phoenician. That has now become English language. English is a car, I've said it before. So those Ibadan, they were the settlement of those jihadists that took over the land of Ife and other lands of NZERA. All fractionated people migrated away with their instruments of the god and shrine from the altar and those temples of the gods that actually hibernated this land. It should be noted that BADIN group of Islamic warriors were a close band of soldiers, which have said that of Muhammad. But after Muhammad's death, there was a tussle. After that tussle, they were excommunicated. Some say because of their paganistic or polytheistic mode of mixture with Islam. Rather, it was, nobody knew whether they were even sent to secure this part of the land. Nobody knew. But all I know is that those Ibadan people, that formed the Ibadan, that took over Ife, Oyo, Lorraine, name them, they were all part of the jihadists, Islamic jihadists of old. The first Ottoman, watch Ottoman, how Ottoman conquered the world, tried to conquer Constantinople, the whole world. What the things they did, the atrocities of Ottoman Empire. When you watch it, you know what they heaped on people here. Who could resist them? Who could resist them? When they fought the FA people, we are the FA people. They are more people. When they marched across the land and took over the land and then installed these people, later their main followers started sharing the land, creating thrones all over. When after the death of this, our own leader Oduduwa, and Oduduwa was not good to us already. He has already been cursed. He has already started quarreling with his people. They crowned themselves and their lineage to date. At the height of this rampage, they occupied the headquarters at this Igbanke. That was where they call it Iduaka. All these players of Ogwa, all those Osa, all this around the Orion local government area, Ishan land. They occupied it in the olden days. They named themselves in nowhere, name all the name of the god. They were naming themselves. All the towns, they say this one. They say lie. Our fathers knew them, just that they were scared, they couldn't say it. My own maternal grandfather, my own maternal great-grandfather was killed. But they said that that death ends with them. It ends with them. We shall not be killed again. We shall live to narrate, to give the story and see our children's children. All those things must be up there. Why did they fight the war for this? They Sokma for but Oba did not. And this Sokma only them that fight those wars. Why was there war if they were our ancestors that invited them? You invite somebody, start fighting them. That's why the story is too heavy in their lips to say. It is high time we wake up, stop being slaves, chief this, chief that. What taught this, what taught that. People should stop it. People should stop it. We pray God to give us the strength to come to in that land. Let us do in this our land. We are not hiding again. We know the truth. Let us the history be told. Who wants to side with the evil one? Fine, side with the evil one. But with the noble one, we will remain just to God. You carry your guns, come and kill us. If God say you will succeed, fine. If God say you will not succeed to kill us, we will not kill us. We have said the truth. Our land must regain the truth. We must become ourselves. We all are hiding. We will not die. We will not die. The Oni will kill us. The Oba will kill us. The kings will kill us. We are tired of that hiding. Let the truth be known. We are the NZERA people. We are the Du people, the Ka people, the Nton people. From Zulu, from the Congo, Ikao Go. All of them are us. The Japanese, even the Anglo-Saxon, the Germans, they were part of the empire of NZERA. Through Phoenician, through many ways. The Agoshi Azune, all of them were a card name. They have meaning here. The Egyptians, the story. If we tell them we have honor, we have dignity, all those horoscopic temples, we need to reactivate them. Let's see how we can bring the God. They can be meditation centers. We need to wake up. Rebuild the altar. Rebuild the altar, my people. We need to rebuild the altar. We need to rebuild the altar and the temples. So see how Oduduwa is made. They were forming another altar. So many other altars. So many Igbanke. So many Modakeke. Like Modakeke, Mondiakeka, Modakeka, all this one. Towns all over, near Ibadan, near Ife. They form so many altars trying to change. The problem, let me repeat one thing. All towns of Yoruba land were named Ika language. We know that. All the Kanuri, just as most of the Kanuri, the outside, the Kaduna, the Kano, the Canaan, all of them have said that. The Kale, land of Eli Ikoishi, Dumota, all of them are name. All their name of their God. All the name of the gods and related titles in Yoruba language are Ika. all the kingship in Benin, all of them Benin language, in Kanuri, all of them are Ika language. If you don't understand the Ika, you will not know it. You might not even understand what I'm explaining. The Pelesha, the Palestine, the Ovo people, and the Phoenician, all of them, they are Ika language. Isheki, Isheke Laiwi, all of them are Ika name. Ugbo lands them. Ugbo. People will be wondering, how come this sound like Igbo? Because it's Igbo. It's Igbo, Ika language. Oduduwa's Otuefa was hosted the original NZERA landlords from power, and those gave rise to already welcome. The welcome people are welcome. The Ishans, the Aegeans, the Hyksos, we call them Ijon people. All of them, we know the history. The elders of our land and his mates were killing the elders and fathers of the land. That he and his Oduduwa mates were killing. Cost this land of us, adding that already heaps of spells working against this land that we are waiting to resolve. They cost him, Oduduwa, they cost his followers, descendants, that he and those followers and their children were killed and used to hiale, to annoy, to heat, hiale, like you dry chicken from the palace to the outskirts and burn it. That they do those things, those land of Africa, those land of the black race shall never find peace, shall never succeed. They will always be enslaved, because he enslaved them. So we children are obliged. We innocent one now saying we achieve this, we achieve that. You're going to a title. You are obliged to go and fulfill those words of your ancestors. That is what you are supposed to do. That is what you are supposed to do. All the later migrants to the land now, all the later people that left, recall them back. What do you do? We call it do. You might say it's a bad religion. It's not. It's the way they crudely left those religions. It's a voodoo. Fe udu. Warrior is not Udu they call them. Ndi fodu. Yeah, voodoo. You call it Ida. Ndi Ida people. Ida here. Orohide or all this Ida. Orohida people. You now call what do you call them? Oronigbe. Vanish, all those things. Then you now call this other one I want to remember in Igbanke. Adan. They say Maidan. The Dogons, the Digun, our own Digun, all those people has to come back to reinstitute. We modernize them as meditation centers. That is what it means to rebuild the altar, rebuild the temples. Wake up, my people. There's always time for truth to be revealed. Enough is enough. Anybody that will hear this my voice and still patronizing all those kings, one day partake in the curse and condemnation that is before them and their family. We must all, however, join hands not to scatter this nation. We need to rebuild it. We need to rebuild this altar and the temples of the God. That's why I keep repeating the same word. Okwefa word, they occupy the Igbanke. We know they form all those Agbo, those Asaba, those Useluku, those is the Chima area. That was where it came about. They now send their people that are saying, you occupy here, you occupy here. They made them kings. So as though they divide those Ishan, those Auchi, to encircle and protect and condone of that Igbanke. That's the Duakan. That was the headquarters. But our sister attack was still coming from the Juku and the Idas, from the Igbo side. So they now moved away to form Ota, Igbanke, all that places. Now, when they ask them where's the origin of Oduduwa, they will tell you Oduduwa is from the sky. He jumped from the rock. He was this. He came from Keg. Oduduwa, that people already have the story. That is why the white man laugh at us, black men. They mock us as if we are senseless. See them lying about themselves. The story that the white man will tell you that Israel was already in West Africa. Israel was in West Africa. Israel is in Nigeria. We are saying no, it's a lie. We that is supposed to. Because when you say it like now I've said it, they want to attack and kill me. If they won't leave the song, I point at the God. If the God wants them to kill me, they will. But if the God does not want me, they themselves will die. Anybody that has plan towards my death will be killed as long as the sun does not touch him, the sun does not shine on him. If the sun shine on any man that plans to kill me, let that person be killed violently. And I will live to see his or her death. Point at the sun God. Let the sun God arise. Protect me. Protect everybody willing for the goodness of the black race. Enough is enough. We cannot remain slave. Huh? I think I didn't mention her. We remember like the Carthaginians. How we call Ife, or the area was called the Katangi. Carthaginians came back, a Carthaginian. They came back to Africa after all this Phoenician trying to take over Spain with the Moors and all that. When they eventually came back, they moved towards that Ife side. That's why there was a time it was called Carthage, Katangi, Ife area. That was the Carthaginian. They came back there, just as Pelesha came back in Yoruba area. Phoenician came back at Neoma area. Etruscans, the Gauls of Europe, the Gauls that are French now. When you hear French, Ferechi, Fere, Ichichi, Fereka. They are French, just like Africa, Ferika. When the Carthaginians came back, they took over Ife and they formed that Carthage, which is now why they are fighting. Everybody have that history, but nobody really know how to explain it. Katangi town or Ife or Yo, that area was because the Carthaginians came. Carthage, that's the one that took over. Before these jihadists, all of them finally came to model all those things. No, I should be after the Carthaginians came after. They came after. Some it could be the timeline. I don't know the timeline, but the story is remain the same thing. It is later or more than 40 jihadists Fulani came to try to extract all those things because the Hausa now invited them. They now took over Hausa land for inviting them. They now took over. They themselves are claiming part of it. Well, I'm not saying they are not part of it, but the aim is let all of us unite and rebuild the altar and the temples. Let us rebuild Africa. I'm not saying here to say you are judge, you are owner of the land. Ika is everybody. All of us, even before we were coming. Though some of us came first, some came later. But all the worshippers of this, they use instruments to worship God polytheistically. They are the one they call Eka. They are the one they call Ezora. It is not just by blood. All of us are Eka. But the jihadists now that have taken land should be uprooted. They should be uprooted. Yes. They scattered the altar land, which what biblical Quranic people call the altar. The altar. The Bible call it altar, the Quran call it altar, they call it temple. The altar that needs to be rebuilt, let me mention that the altar that needs to be rebuilt, the altar and Igbanke, the altar is the altar town village and the Igbanke environs, all the Igbanke, all those areas are part of altar. They were shared to become Agba, Akene, Agba Iteto, six triangle. Agba is corner, angle, Agoland, Agbale, Agba Iyi, that's angle of the 6 angle land. That's like my title. So they were shared. The land mark is still there. Each of them has a sister town. You see this one, like they say, Odi. Odi is god of Odi. Odi god. You have Thor is god of Thor. You have Loki is Loki. All of them are. All those gods are gods of Norse. Noishi, or Nondeka, Nordica, Noishi, Norse. When we were FA and Ndi when we were there before we came. So those gods, Odi, Thor, Igboto, Loki, Olige. You see same thing, Uli, Ogi on the Hawaii. Same God, Hewe or Hawaii. They say where is Hawaii? When they mention it, the same shrine is still there. How did we go? How did they come there? Japan, the same sun god we worship, Ogun, the same thing. China, Ichiane, French or Frenchy. Not only is one, I have a lot of written of proof to prove it. How the link all of us with, even with Anglo-Saxonness, Germany, Brittany. See the name, Brittany, Latiny, Germany, Russian. All of them are 3 things that mean the same, 4 things that mean the same word. Going far, living far, staying far, dwelling far in Igbanke word. How come all the land, Europe, which we already know, Europe? How come Brittany, Latiny, Russia, Germany, 3 of them, 4 of them are the same meaning in Eka. If there is no fellowship, there are so many things. The English language, alphabet and numerals, Eka. It's even a story. Alphabet, the Egyptian alphabet and the Phoenician alphabet and the Hebrew Eka. 4 of them Eka language. My brother, let us talk our story. So those altars and those temples, the altar is the altar and Igbanke environment. They are horoscopic temples that they move from Zoroaster to this place to recreate the Orion belt of the stars. Gogo Orion, that's Orion or belt of the hand. That's that Orion. Orion, that's the Ori that bring out children. It's a very meaning. When Oruan, this Orun, that Orun, that's Orion. Okay. Then the temples are what, like names like I can be identified where they are, like Urogodo. Horogodo is the name of Agba of Old. Uromi. When you hear Uromi, Uromi is you know Uromi like Wohimi. That's Ohimi is there. Where here Elohimi. Urogodo is where here God. Uromi and Wohimi is where here Elohim. Uronigbe is Gbe, the 4 gods in the Gbe vanish. Oduduwa, Irua, Arochuku, Orobal, Bal is a god. Orogun, Ogun, Digon. Orobo, Bo is a god. Orohi, Horovia, Jehovah, Araba, Abba, Uro Ukbota, Sekwotata, Uruata, Iyi Oba, not Yoruba, Iyi Hobala, Yobe, Iyola. Those are names. Arugugu, Agugu River, they do festival. There's some shrine there. We know. Iyang, that's Iyang, that Iyang, Yahweh, Yahweh. That's our Yahweh origin, etc., etc. All of them can be located. We will collaborate further. We will locate all those temple sites that needs to be reactivated and modernized. We modernize them as meditation centers. That is just my interest. I'm not interested in all those kings or all those anybody or their throne. Our interest is let us rebuild the altar and the temples of the land of the gods. Let the gods start communicating with us with these instruments of communication that they left with us. Let us resecure the destiny of our children through our destiny. We are once of the great nation called these various NZERA, Alemo, all those names. How can we now forget our history, forget our story? No, we cannot. Let me give a summary of the spiritual angle to this thing. This folkloric history of NZERA and Oduduwa have a strong spiritual implication. It is really a war between the cycle of the gods, which we call the good gods, or simply the gods, or Ora, or El, or Angu, whatever you have it, is against the single exiled, bad, wicked, erroneous, evil god, which we now call Satan. Some call him Sith. All those evil, all those happening are better understood from this spiritual background and importance, that there is a war between the good God and the bad God. The gods, in the quest to recreate a better of themselves, created mankind, but in that process, the bad God, made a bad input of himself, of violence, of so many bad things into that recreation. So man became Man became imperfect as against the expectation of a godly creation. So that man now needs redemption and civilization. Man. So that issue of redemption and civilization is the process of that redemption and civilization is what all those mankind, all of us, all this our lifetime and regeneration is all about. In that process, a piece of land of this thing, a piece of land was chosen for this purpose of recreating man, and a throne of the creator God was instituted there, and that throne was called altar, where man ta is talk, tan or tan. That's where humanity started talking. A throne was instituted there. That creator God was called Pita. We call it Pita. In my language. That Pita was installed, who they call a rock or whatever, was installed in that altar. See? So that altar now is surrounded by lesser abodes, lesser house of families of pantheon of God, which they call temples. Horoscopic opo, where they send to this realm of the living and the realm of the God and realm of the dead. They are sent into those three levels of us realm. Realm of the God, realm of the living, realm of the dead. So, but now Osa was the son of Ora. Osiris was son of Ora, Re. We call it Ose. Ose Obuwa, carrier of the word. But he died, and he now was living between life and death. He was to come back in blood and flesh in the university to recreate, to help mankind, to retrain them how to become the gods. That's the genesis of even Jesus, Osiris. The story of Osiris was recreated. Osiris had been made through the time of summer. We recreate almost 3,000-4,000 years later as Jesus. Every step, everything he did was recreated. That's the origin of Jesus. After the Judaism has made the Old Testament, the New Testament, the Hebrew, the Romans now recreated Jesus. All those things are not story. They are truth. They are facts. Forget about Bible. Bible didn't even know the meaning of Israel. It says Israel is the name of a human being. Israel is not the name of a person. It was coined from Ora. Ezre'el. That's the Israel. Our fathers taught us that. We all know that one. So the truth, tell the truth. It's not why you say it, kill him. The truth has been revealed. Possession. So this Satan, those kings now they form a quorum, they form a throne. So humanity took the instruments. It's a long story. They took the instrument, they vacated down Ngada, where the garden, Ngada of the gods. The Euphrates was like the river is where we serve, kind of like the garden of the gods. They now left with the instrument of the god. God now became angry. There was quarrel, but along the line now, they now instituted who? The bad God was that tricked them was what they supported. They instituted him as the God. So it's Satan. The Ezatane, Atane, Ata, and in his land. The Eze of Ata and land now became that what they call Satan. Became the evil God. See the spiritual angle, how the Ezata is what they acknowledge as Satan. He became God of the world, God of Africa, through that king of Ata in the spiritual realm. So that's why all the witches, all the wizards, everything, they come to worship there. They come to have meeting year after year. You'll be hearing them, even publishing in newspaper in the olden days. So we know that we keep asking well, from childhood in the church, what is this? What did they say this? Well, this is what they told us. This is what they told us. Now I'm revealing it. Let people that are more educated than me, historians, theologians, come and investigate what I'm saying. Both the Igbanke, both the map, both the shrine, both the god from Zeus, Apollo, all those gods of both the Greeks and the Israeli biblical and non-biblical gods. If I'm lying about Israel, that's only one town, Canaan, Ika live in this land. Canaan, that's what they used to form the Israel. People used to say that is not really Israel. Israel is 10, 20 times wider than that. Egypt itself, Kanake was supposed to be part of Israel. But because they took the Kim mortar, that's that KMT, Kim mortar. The Kerem mortar, they took the mortar first, which they now returned later after the fall. That was why Egypt now prospered. Why the NZERA became so distinct. But even Israel tell you that the Hotep at the western border, Hotep, Otambiri, at the western borders now across the horizon is where you have the Habiru people, Ibiru people, Ife people. All those things are not hidden. Read history, you put them together, especially when you understand the Car language. So every man is supposed to understand this Car language. So every historian, every hieroglyphist, every person that is supposed to understand the Car language. So Satan now sits upon the throne, Africa upon the throne, and he represented he's sitting symbolically as the king was sitting, NZERA was still sitting on the throne. So the representatives are those kings that installed him, because they seized the whole instruments of the gods and they stored him there. So today, when you are serving those kings, you are serving Satan. What do you expect upon us, our land, upon the world, when we have made a choice that Satan should rule us against the good, holy cycle of the good gods, who was represented by Ray. So my brothers, my sisters, as I told you, my name is Monday. That's the meaning of Monday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is a car word. Thank you.